What is up, Moody?
Nothing much. I'll tell you what's been most pressing in my life. I guess I'll just jump straight into it. We were talking a little bit before, but I'm going to go straight into my NBA shit, my Percy. For those that would definitely not recognize this jersey, this green and yellow, this is actually my Rockets jersey. We were eliminated game 7. I didn't mention it last pod, but still, I was proud of my guys getting there. We fought, but I just got to say, bro, like, I'm so pissed when I watch game 1 of Timberwolves Warriors and Steph goes down with a hamstring injury. And I'm like, bro, that's our hamstring injury, bro. Like, we wore his ass out. Like, they been like, now he's about to go on and like just basically bust everybody ass. By that I mean Anthony Edwards. And I don't know if you brought up the notion, Doc, but it is somewhat wrestling related in the sense that this went viral that Randy Orton posted on Twitter, if anybody has earned the moniker Legend Killer, it's you. And it's like an anime like drawing picture of like Randy Orton that says Legend Killer on his chest, handing the chain Legend Killer to Anthony Edwards on the Timberwolves. So I just thought that was appropriate too, because everybody's been talking about his ascension and shit, and he's been shit. Him and Luke are the best on-ball guards, or he's arguably the best off-ball. He's the best off-ball guard in the league right now, for sure. Because Luke is bringing it up the court, but off-ball, Anthony Edwards is a fucking dog, man. It's crazy. And that's been the narrative, but also I'm just going to run through this bracket real quick. We in the second round. This has been the best playoffs. Like a whole lot of NBA community's been saying it's the best playoffs in probably like 6-7 years, you know. Surprisingly, you got the Celtics, the number 1 seed in the East, down 0-2 to the Knicks. Like, bruh.
Blowing back-to-back 20-point leads.
Crazy. Just craziness. We got Cavs and Pacers. The Pacers and this dude, Tyrese Halliburton, he's basically the Anthony Edwards of the East, doing this exact same thing.
Yeah, I knocked out early, but I woke up this morning and I saw that like the Cavs saved themselves from going down 0-3. I was like, oh wow, like yeah, that's serious.
Yeah, I mean, and then that's the thing is like you feel bad for Donovan because Donovan has always been that guy. He has always shown up in the playoffs. I'm telling you, like dropping 30, like. Both of these games, he got 48 and 43 back to back. I'm like, he be here. And then the last series, Denver is up 2-1 on the Thunder right now. But, you know, they got nobody to deal with the Joker. I mean, Shea, like, that's why I'm finding this one the most intriguing, too, just because it's the battle of the MVPs. But now I'm thinking, like, Knicks, it's about to be a Knicks Pacers Eastern Conference Finals. Like, is that what's about to happen? Unless these, like, these boys got to lock in. They are still the most talented squad in the entire playoffs. The Celtics are the deepest team. They got to lock in, bro.
And like they're defending champions. They have the battle scars, you know, like I can see it ended up being at 7, but I can also see the Knicks pulling it out. That'd be a interesting NBA Finals, Eastern Finals, if that was the case, if it was Pacers, Knicks. On the other side, to get Nuggets, the Nuggets and Thunder. Again, that's battle scars versus non-battle scars. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, everything the Nuggets, the Thunder are doing, like they're first seed and everything. But like, hey, again, these are champions over here on the other side. You know what I'm saying? Like,
I'd say it's battle scars versus not getting it done yet, or like getting it done. They got championship DNA versus, like you said, maybe medium level battle scars because they've been in the playoffs the last 3 years since Chris Paul has left. Since Shea Gilgeous-Alexander went to that 1 year in grad school,
though, like again, again, like your regular season is fine. It's like, all right, like we got to go with your playoff history, and your playoff history is like, all right, you've been probably what 3, 4 seed, maybe 2 seed. I forget what they ranked in the previous years, but at this point, it's like you still got to get over those humps now.
Yeah. You know, but it's definitely a different situation.
Even if the Nuggets aren't hitting all cylinders, it's like, bro, we've been through this test. You know, we've lost in the finals. They didn't lose. Did they lose in the finals? Or they got close, I believe.
Yeah, they lost in the Western Conference Finals.
Yeah, and then won the championship. And so there's just a lot more. They're a lot more tested, you know. So it would not surprise me if we ended up with Nuggets and Celtics at the end of the
bro. And it's so funny because, like, I mean, that would be, I think, from arguably the Adam Silver, viewpoint, the best case. You know what I'm saying? I mean, you would want Warriors in there too, but the Warriors ain't coming back, so you can forget that. So you can either write the narrative of Anthony Edwards, face of the league, and just sail it, delivered. He's the guy now, or, the Celtics dominance. One of those, because everybody's, they were like heavy favorites to just, repeat this year. So, but I think the balance of power for real. I'm thinking about giving Jamal Murray, like I said, that playoff Jamal, kind of like playoff Jimmy. You expect him to show up like now. These playoffs is here. 27 points, 25 points. He's getting back to it. So
yeah, and again, that's Jokic not even having a game.
Exactly, bro. Exactly. He didn't even do nothing that time. They got nobody to deal with him. But yeah, that's the Sunday Percy. It's just the second round update right there in the NBA playoffs, and I'm locked in.
All right. Well, my Sunday Percy involves television, and there's a lot of good television, especially the last few months. We've been blessed with a lot of good television. The Studio. I've heard The Pit is really good. I haven't watched that, but I've heard The Pit is really good. Andor just finished up. Severance. Daredevil. But I have to say, for as crazy as the rehearsal is, the writing in the show is S tier, and it's honestly the best part of the show. Have you seen the most recent episode?
I have, and it's making me do this right now. I'm looking up the definition of the word chortle. I was at work, and the scene chortle, yes.
Okay.
To laugh rapidly, gleeful way, bro. The scene because I've seen it. The scene when he is a baby getting breastfed. He's fucking getting waterboarded by like breast milk. I was fucking dying, like, because you're sitting there watching it, and it's like you said, it's the peak of S++ tier absurdist comedy with a budget. That's what this is. And watching him being held there as a baby, and then it just rushes in his face like a fucking fire hose. Like, I just like involuntarily, like my coworkers, they were watching Fast Five, like 3 desks over, and I just said, like, yo, this shit is ridiculous.
And it's crazy because like he starts from the sense of like, oh, we're trying to figure out pilots and how to prevent crashes, and then you go into this whole
aircraft safety,
absurd tangent of like, oh, let's talk about Sully Sullenberg, whatever his name is, the guy that landed the United Airline flight in the Hudson River in New York back in 2009. And then he just recreates his entire life. And it's just like, what am I watching here? And he wraps it up into this bow where it's like he matches. He's like, there's a 23-second mute pause while they're in the plane. And it matches the exact time of the hook of Evanescence. Wake Me Up. And it's like
23 seconds.
What is going on here? And it's like, but again, the fact that you were able to go from such a absurdist point, but still, again, he does an amazing job of just like actually like showing the heart within it, and then also like the thought process of like how you got here, even as absurd as it is, and you're watching some crazy stuff as far as the reenactments and stuff. This is honestly, I think. No disrespect to any of the shows. I love Severance. I love all. This is the best show of this 2025. There's nothing.
It definitely stands out. It definitely stands out in the sense of like just there's nothing else on TV like it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We can try to figure that out. The closest thing when I think of absurdism is like, Eric Andre. You know what I mean? But like, this isn't that.
Even that, that is like, there's not even to shade that. It's just there's a level of just being absurd, and then like you can live in that absurdity. But then there's like he makes it absurd, but then somehow emotionally
makes a point with it. Yeah, it makes a point. Like maybe because that punchline, that's basically the punchline of the show. Is like you said, it's that 23-second bridge of "Wake Me Up to Life," and in the show it's shown that like. It's basically that moment to like lock in, focus, and find whatever you need to like get you through a moment because he can't figure it out. And it's like that's the best hypothesis that he has, that it's just so happens that he's playing that song to lock in. So,
and that's not even counting the fact that
ridiculous.
He found a couple that cloned their dog 3 times.
We did start there. It's so yeah. It's all over the place.
4 months trying to replicate the original dog, and they brought in air from San Diego and fed it to the dog while he was walking. Like, what
he was walking with a fire, like with a fire hydrant blowing it in his face, like so he could smell the same smells that the old dog would have.
Like the absurdity is what grabs people's attention about the show. But I get it. If you haven't seen it, the writing in the show is amazing. I even go back. I still say the first episode when like he explains the episode, like like with the trivia and the guy trying to come out to his friend about not having a master's degree. That is one of the best pieces of television ever.
Just you just gotta explain it.
Like that's one of the most amazing episodes of television ever. And then again, the way that he ended it, because he was like, I had to tell him a lie. I had to give him the answers to the trivia, because if I didn't, he wouldn't have been able to focus on the actual task that we needed him to accomplish. But he knew that if he did that, that would basically ruin that guy's time. And then you're left at the end of like, does Nathan actually tell the truth, or does he hide it? And it's like, man, the parallels, the writing in it is, I don't want it to get slept on, because again, it's very easy to watch his shows and be like, this is crazy and it's outlandish, but the writing is what really makes The Rehearsal one of the best shows on television today.
Outstanding comedy series nomination for sure, winner. I'm just thinking that this is why we need all those specific categories, because it's like, all right, we could get nominated for like, I don't know, best writing on a comedy series, and then it's like probably best comedy series, but I'm like trying to think of like what else would that be under, because it's like so dynamic as a show, like you said. I mean, there's the layers of replication, and I don't know, we just keep saying absurd because that's the word for it. It just knows no bounds. It just feels like it knows no bounds. Like after trying to live. I can't
even imagine what tomorrow's episode is going to be like.
Yeah, and then it's funny because
every episode is like, I'm just coming into it. I'm like, okay, what do you got for me this week, Nathan?
Yeah, I was listening to The Prestige, and I think it was The Prestige, or it was whichever one that I was following that. Yeah. And they were like, just the fact that like, by the end of the episode, he says like Sully Sullenberger so much that it's like, oh, that's just that guy's name. And forever from this point forward, that will be his name in my head. But his name is Chesley Sullenberger. That's actually his name. But I had to look that up too, because I went Sully just now. That's what everybody remembers him from. But
they made a movie.
I'm with you.
They made a movie. Ready to start the show?
I am. Let's go.
Doors opening. Step back to allow customers to exit.
French fried bro, Moody, off the top rope. This is the Wrestling Re-Up podcast.
A weekly stroll through the avenue of wrestling. It's a hubba haze. I couldn't find my mouse.
It's fine, but do all the engagement things. Follow us on our socials. Follow this YouTube channel. Everything at the Wrestling Re-Up.
I could not find my mouse to save my life to unmute myself.
It's fine. We just got into the show, people, and we got our mouses now, right?
Yep. What up, everyone? Episode 44 of the Wrestling Re-Up. Shout out John Riggins.
Jerry West, the logo.
Yep. You named off a few. You said Reggie Jackson?
Hank Aaron.
October. Hank Aaron. That's why 44
George
retired
Gervin
in baseball. Iceman.
Yep, the Iceman. Jim Brown.
Iconic.
Reggie Jackson. Iconic number. I was like, dang,
iconic number.
You don't want to take that number. That's too much. Like literally in everywhere. Like in every sport, you got one that's like pretty insurmountable. Hank Aaron, you're not catching him unless you're on the juice, right? Jerry West, he's the logo. That's tough. Jim Brown, You can catch Jim Brown, I guess. He's probably the best case scenario. Yeah. But anyway.
I mean, statistically, sure, as pure athlete, it's just like, I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah, statistically, that's all. But yeah, we are here at the Raw recap.
Now Backlash has that, at least for in our multiverse or our universe, at least Backlash has that respect of holding that crown of being on the 44th episode, because it is Backlash. And it's the first pop-up show after WrestleMania this week.
Yep.
And this is the first pop-up show for season 2. So for people that are uninitiated, Moody won season 1 with a definite 13-5-3 record.
Yeah, something like that. Something light like that. We had 3 ties.
So that was the. Now we're starting season 2. We're still keeping the overall record, adding, but right now we're back to 0. So hopefully I can start off with a strong start and at least come out with a tie, if not a W. Gotta avoid the loss.
No pressure. We got a whole year now, dog. There's no pressure.
Yeah,
like,
man.
It's even slate. It's even slate.
I said, by the end of season 2, if we can cut that 13-5 closer to 500, we're good. We're good. That's all I want. We just got to balance that out, because again, I went too much into my my fantasy booking, and sometimes I just gotta go with what's actually being presented to me on TV. But
it's funny. I'm thinking right now we'll be 5 years in with the crowd actually. With the actual following, and I'll be up by like technically 2 wins on you, but I'm 5 years straight winning.
Yeah, right.
That'll be like, 5-time champion. But
let's get into it. Pretty light week as far as the news front as it goes from wrestling. So it seems like we might have another fishing episode, but let's get into the Raw recap. Let's get into the flagship store. Monday Night Raw. It was, I would say, just in general, how was your feelings for like the build up for the last few weeks, from like the end of WrestleMania to where we got tonight, where we got Backlash? Like in general, not just WWE. I want to also include like AEW as well. But man, it feels like we're taking a step back and kind of like relaxing a little bit, but also trying to get our sea legs. It seems a bit, I don't want to say rushed, but it just seems like, okay. Seems like we're on kind of cruise control a little bit.
Yeah, I think it's interesting you bring up the AEW dynamic, because I would say they're heating up for Double or Nothing, right? Coming up later on. And meanwhile, this is like a holding period. Or I don't want to say a holding period. That's kind of rough saying that. But
yeah.
Everybody's coming off the high of WrestleMania. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. That is the peak of the wrestling industry. You know what I'm saying? Everybody needed to smoke a fucking cigarette, after WrestleMania weekend. So I feel fine with it. Honestly, I think this episode of Raw has been, or at least for what I put up here, I thought it was pretty solid. Honestly, on the AEW front, I mean, I'm really looking forward. Like mostly, I'm looking forward to the winners of the Owen. With Mercedes versus Jamie Hayter and Hangman and Will Ospreay. So yeah, they're holding their weight there for sure. Like I will definitely be tuning in. Like, but yeah, and it's been appropriate. It's been appropriate. I think it's been an appropriate amount of build.
Okay, I'll agree. I guess for the WWE side, I guess because Backlash is coming like 2 weeks after WrestleMania and not your typical 4 weeks, it just seems like, oh man, that was pretty quick, and then talking about like NXT has Battlegrounds coming up in like 2 weeks, and I think there is I
just need to make this like a permanent
Saturday night's main event. There's World's Collision, then there's Money in the Bank. It's like, man, there's so much stuff. And then we have next week on AEW, like what was it, Beach Day or Beach Bash or something like that?
Beach Break, yeah.
Beach Break. So it just seems like there's a lot of stuff that's coming up that just kind of came quickly right after WrestleMania. It's like, man, okay, did we have enough time to build this? But I think AEW's a little bit separate on that. But let's get back into the flagship show. Primo, we both agree, is the main event. Jey Uso versus Seth Rollins that ended in, I guess, a no contest because of interference, if I recall correctly. But I have this in Primo for the fact that obviously I think we knew that we weren't going to get a decision. But the fact that they made it feel like there was a good chance that Seth Rollins was about to win this match, I think that's why I have this in Primo.
I mean, for me, it was, really giving this story was this Seth giving Jay the best match of his career so far. Like, and really giving him like weight as the champion still in this moment. Like the second that he grabbed him in that sleeper hold, like Seth starts like clinging for the ropes, like he's desperate to get away because he sees how dangerous Jay's sleeper hold is now, after tapping out Gunther like that. So I really enjoyed this. And technically, Rollins won via DQ or whatever.
Yeah.
That's technically what happened. But I even loved like the save and everything after that. Or actually, are there any beats you want to go through in the match first that you really liked?
Like I said, the biggest point that I was like, oh, maybe Seth might win this was when Jay went to spear into the pedigree. I was like, oh snap! Like I was like, okay, maybe they might pull the trigger. I knowing 99% that they weren't because we have a pay-per-view tonight. I'm like, but hey, Seth Rollins is just knocked off Roman Reigns and CM Punk, you know what I'm saying, at WrestleMania. So it wouldn't surprise me. But again, I just like the fact that as much as I knew that they weren't going to change the belt, that moment I was like, oh snap! Like they're really teasing it, and they did a good job. So at that point when Jay went for the spear and then Seth caught him into the pedigree, I was like, oh, okay.
That's
we might have something.
That was the first finisher of the match too that got hit because up to that point, super kicks are watered down at this point, obviously. But that's where, in match like ring psychology, this is going to like gear 2 now. Because this is all like the first chapter of that match was Seth out wrestling Jay. Remember? Like he posted up, like laid up on top of the rope, like he caught his foot, and that signature. They've been doing that ever since they've been the Uso brothers. Like when their feet get caught and they do the spinning enziguri, and Seth ducks it and like lets him fall on the ground. And then the next chapter is Jay getting his confidence back and basically whooping his ass physically, or like in a straight up striking match. And then you get the counter of experience with the spear into the pedigree. And then, more shenanigans follow because I love seeing, like, even though it wasn't caught on camera, like, when they give us that, like, high angle shot when Braun is on the other side of the ring, that spear is coming.
Yeah.
So I really liked, because it didn't catch it in the perfect angle like you would usually have it up close, but it was caught in the background of, like, the camera that was on Jey Uso and, like, the... and the ring, the ring announcers.
Yeah.
So I thought that was really funny. Sammy coming down. I say he's the one who got speared, but he came down for the save originally, then got speared by Braun, and then we got CM Punk coming out really for the save. And that's our first time seeing CM Punk since Mania. So that's cool. Of course, that was a pop. Anytime you're gonna hear Cult of Personality, and that's how we end off the show with those three in the ring, Sammy, Jay, and CM Punk holding the chair. Really, I will say, if anything about the vision, I like that Cole, he was saying Seth's vision. So I'm like, I think that's what it's going to be, or at least it's a working faction name. Really like the fact they're showing like the on-screen tutelage though. Like versus where Ric Flair would do this with Batista back in like Evolution and stuff. Like I think I remember like maybe two segments or 3 segments with like Randy Orton and Ric Flair, or Batista and Ric Flair. But even just like Paul Heyman going to Braun and being like, hey, do you really understand what's happening here backstage? And he's like, not playing an idiot, but like he is engaged. But he's like, man, I think so. But he's putting Seth over as a champion. He's like, man, he's operating on levels like above me, basically. Like, and he's like, he got him right in the palm of his hand. So I really like this, that we're seeing that. That's kind of like the closest character that we latched on to originally with Braun, was like, he's shown watching tape and it takes it seriously. He's the football player of everybody in the WWE. So, or him and Carmelo. Carmelo's the basketball player. He watched tape too. So, but yeah, that's basically what I wanted to say. That was a great, Bleacher Report gave it an A. I'd give it an A+, especially for the only thing I will say, I'm sorry, last point, just because it's Backlash, only because of that, it, like you said, 95% chance. I still believe it was a 99% chance, honestly, because the weight of the Vision so far has been great. Granted, you don't want to cut Jay off at the legs, but like I said before, that would be the most heelish thing that you can do. That would be very similar to when Braun got his title back 2 weeks after he lost it. You know what I'm saying? So,
yeah. I initially said 95, then I was like, nah, they weren't going to do it because, again, Backlash is tonight. There's no way that you're going to just change up the title match.
I think you would. Logan Paul, Seth Rollins. You would. Sure. You would, though. You're a Seth Rollins guy. You can't even fight it, dog. You would see that and be like, oh, that's going to be great. So, but yeah, that was the primo of the show for sure.
But we have, it seems like we might have a 6-man coming up with Jay, Sammy, and Punk.
CM Punk. Yeah.
Paul ain't going to be the third in that.
No.
So it goes back to a question that we asked about 2 weeks ago when Braun Breaker first joined this group. Who's third?
Yeah. Like I said, I really like your Trick call up though. If he's done, like
he's feuding with Joe Hendry, but I mean that should be
Joe Hendry is effectively WWE. Yeah, and he should like I said, if he's effectively WWE, then Trick can be TNA champion. But I don't know. Like usually we would have this. But I said this last week that he feels we're jumping a little bit ahead to NXT. But, this is the closest I felt that somebody could win a WWE guy winning the TNA title. So hopefully he loses and he's just called up immediately. You know what I'm saying? So because that's very realistic. Yeah. The only thing that's unrealistic about it is that have we seen Trick on main roster? We seen him in Rumble? Yeah, was he? Yeah. I say he might have been on an episode of Raw once. I don't remember that though. So that's what makes it unlikely.
Yeah. I said Rusev maybe, but again, he seems to be on a path with Otis. But again, if his gimmick of like the Redeemer seems like it could fit in with Seth Rollins' visionary and whatnot. Yeah, there's definitely a third that I feel like there's an easy answer that we just haven't thought of.
Yeah, like I said, a return. Like I said, my two thoughts were returning from injury, either Bronson or Ilya Dragunov. Granted, Ilya Dragunov is such a face that I would be like, that wouldn't really work. And then like Bronson Reed, like shit, he got hurt being in a group. But I would think and he's also the one that wiped Seth out. But maybe it's like I'm turning the page, like kind of like the same thing he did with Sammy. He was like, hey, this isn't a threat, you know. You can do your own thing. Like, we'll get you a world title match. Maybe he's like, hey, all is forgiven. I want to put you on, but you need to be my muscle, whatever it is. I'm going to put you in position just like I'm putting Braun in position. Maybe it's something like that. But that'd be interesting. But, we need to put more thought into it. But I like the thought of it being like, it's just that Seth isn't the biggest guy. Like, I mean, physically. Like, he's not as big as Triple H was with Evolution. And even Batista was bigger than him. So it feels like they're missing, like, a heavyweight, like somebody who at least is like 250-ish.
Isn't that Braun Breaker?
Yeah, but he's short. He's like compact, explosive. You know what I'm saying? That's like, that works. But it's like, so are you going to get a high flyer then? And Seth is the biggest guy in the group? Like, but high flying is innately face, you know, with the crowd. So.
Yeah. Omos would be cool.
Yeah. Oh shit. Yeah. I mean, yeah, because he's easily manipulated. Yeah, for sure. Dang, I just trashed Omos as a character, but yeah, basically, I mean, he was AJ's muscle, he was Vince's muscle. Like, he just muscle. That's all he be doing. So it's like that works perfectly, honestly, for him to get like just get his 10-day contract effectively. The WWE get like a year-long run, whatever that would be.
I mean, he's still on the roster. He was in Japan. Like,
is he?
They just went through.
I know he's in Japan. I know.
Yeah, he's back from Japan. Like, he was. I mean, I saw him in all of the WrestleMania week pictures and stuff like that. So I'm like, he's still on the roster. I don't know what he's doing other than just being like a an ambassador, if you want to say, for the company. But if you want to put him on TV, that would be a cool look.
Yeah, he's actually. Was that a title change?
I would look at that as almost like Big Show.
Yeah, that's effectively what he would be.
He won a title in Japan, and like he ended up giving up. I think he ended up not losing it, but giving it away afterwards.
Yeah, you're right. So right now, because I just looked up like his cage match, his most recent action is actually January this year, where I mean he's still the GHC tag team champion with Jack Morris, but you're right, he still is signed with WWE. His last WWE match was the Andre the Giant 2024 Battle Royal.
WrestleMania.
Yeah. That was his last time.
WrestleMania last year. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Mm-hmm. That's the last time he's done anything WWE. And before that, it was the practice circuit for like 2 months straight with Akira Tozawa and Odyssey Jones. So yeah, that's where he was slotted at. But anyway, but I mean, like I said, that works. Do
you think we would be able to like hide his identity if he came out in those black hoodies?
Absolutely not. I mean, black hoodies never go out of style. Black hoodies never go out of style in wrestling, period, no matter what company you're in. So, yeah. I mean, it wouldn't surprise me if we saw him in that. But, yo big ass, you can't be no fucking Sheriff Shaq. That's how I feel about that. Like, bruh, what are you doing, Omos? Like, we know it's your ass. Like,
that is the exact line. If he did that, that is the title that he is getting. He is getting that title.
Yeah. It's only him or Great Khali under there. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, we know Khali is happy dancing with Sankey as an ambassador. So anyway, we spent a lot of time on set, but we were all over the place. But let's get to our mids. What we do agree on, Io getting the win over Roxanne, and Julia and the follow-up, Julia.
Yeah, the follow-up of Roxanne and Julia jumping Io.
Yes, thank you.
I had this as mid because I like the attention that Roxanne and Julia have been getting on the main roster. They have been losing, but they have been going against the top women on the company and Rhea Ripley and Io Sky. So you would like for them to get like an underhanded win just to kind of, keep them, elevated in that sense, especially because we're going to get into it when we get to the bodega, but Julia took another loss on NXT. But I like the fact that they're getting good screen time and they're putting on great matches as well. So like, is the outcome coming out into their way as far as like, winnings and losses? No, but they're giving you good reason as to why they are going to be credible threats when they do become consistent, faces people on the main roster. And so I'm also curious about the relationship between Julia and Roxanne. Maybe this is because, originally it was supposed to be Cora Jade, but obviously Cora Jade is no longer with the company, that Julia and Roxanne are this kind of team. But I guess I may be missing the backstory on that, but I'm just like, okay, like I get it. Y'all two are evil right now. So two evil people are just going to be aligned with one another. So I'm just curious to see how it plays out. If there's anything that kind of like builds upon it, or are they just kind of working together to work together? But nonetheless, good quality stuff coming out of it.
Yeah, I think it's to answer that with my hypothesis. I see it as them working together in order just to get their names across, like to make a name for themselves since they just got called up, like officially.
Yeah.
Like I said, they are getting those matches against Rhea and EO and stuff. So, like you said, they're not going to win. But the fact that at some point in time we have the image of them standing over them or like beating them down, gives them at least. I mean, like I said, they're just now crawling. You gotta crawl before you walk and everything. But it gives them more legitimacy when they do get the underhanded tag team win on somebody. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because the other side can't work together or whatever, But
yeah. I also want to call out one
their
thing.
in-ring quality has been great, just like you said. No, I was just agreeing with you saying that their in-ring quality up to this point has also been great on the main roster.
Yeah. And one thing I wanted to call out specifically with Julia is I guess her appearance. I'm like, okay, she's got a really interesting vibe to her ring gear, where it's just like, okay, you're not coming out as like how WWE traditionally brings out Japanese people, and it's just like they're like super Japanese. I'm like, oh, she looks like she's like someone that was in like the Tokyo Drift sequels, in the someone that hangs out in the Tokyo Drift area, right? Where I'm like, oh, you guys got some like actual like style, and it's not just like, oh, we're in these geisha kind of like, outfits or whatever, or just not geisha, but traditional like Japanese attire. It's like, oh no, you guys are like, you're dressing like 2025. She has like cool braids. She's got like the cargo pants and stuff like that. I'm like, okay, you're not coming in here like an anime character. So I'm like, I appreciate the updated style and appearance,
the originality.
Yeah.
I've mentioned this before that she's
an anime character.
I did mention this before that specifically her heritage. She's half Italian, half Japanese. So that's where it's like, I mean, we got all of Gucci, all the Chanel. Like, hey, that's fashion houses out the ass, and we're writing in our movie that, hey, Japan anime, like that's what she's supposed to be doing. You know, she's like an anime fashion designer. So it's like a combination of those two things. It's dope. Like, and I even like the fact that she obviously we know her as like a Japanese superstar, but even in her move set and stuff, like her bicycle knee is arrivederci, goodbye in Italian. So like simple stuff like that, or adios amigo from Ray Phoenix, walking the tightrope kick. But yeah, I agree with you on that. You mind if I get to my other mid?
Yes, go ahead, please.
Yeah, just this. I have Karrion Kross, just generally Karrion Kross, getting over since Mania, or more focus on him, because I don't think we would ever, or not ever, but I think we both liked Karrion Kross. Like, I know I love Karrion Kross as NXT champion and stuff like that. Been rooting for him, and from the immediate presentation to like later stop with him, it's been really effing rough. You know what I'm saying? So the fact that they've been like really giving him runway with this whole like devil on people's shoulders character for this whole past year has really been great, even though that's all he's done. And I'm pretty sure I listened to Mass Man. I'm pretty sure they said that he's actually, I'll just check Cage Match real quick, but I think they said he wrestled only 3 matches all of last year.
Yeah.
I was just like, bro, are you serious? But he has been cutting fire promo after fire promo.
And AOP wrestled more matches than him, I assume.
Yeah, right. I'm just getting to the page now.
I'll say it's more so Karrion Kross than anything, because as far as on television, on the television aspect of it, Karrion Kross, you don't really see him that much. The only time you might see him is if you're watching the ad-free version of Raw, and you catch those promos that they cut during commercial breaks. Sure, like he does really well. But most of Karrion Kross's, rise as far as like the past like 6 months has literally been him and Scarlett on social media.
Yeah,
just like your social media posts, and they've been good. And again, a lot of the things as far as like how he talks about like, oh, I've been alluding to these things to these characters, whether it be the New Day or whether it be Seth or Roman or whatnot. It's like, oh yeah, I've pointed these things out, and look, they've come true. And so I'm glad that they're finally now starting to give him seems like some TV time. Him and Scarlett some TV time. I think they work really well together. Obviously, because they're related, they're married, but I mean, their characters work. Like, it's a good dynamic. It feels real. Yeah, I just hope they actually do something with it, because they've been killing it, and he's been really good on the mic. And obviously, he had that shoot work promo right after WrestleMania, where, like, you know, he kind of went off and, you know, was super frustrated and whatnot.
That's when you make yourself undeniable. People deny it. And shout outs to the guy in the back. He's like, you can go fuck yourself, Jesus. Like, oh yeah, that's my impersonation of Karrion Kross.
So I mean, yeah, I really hope they actually leverage it. And I actually came across too that he has, I believe, the #1 selling T-shirt on WWE Shop right now.
Yeah, that was also the point that I was getting to. That's the part where it's like, looking at it now. So do you count? Here's a question: do you count WWE Main Event? Actually, no, I wouldn't count that. I was going to say it's being on TV. They are recorded, but they're not on TV, right? You don't count that, right? Because are you watching Main Event? We have never discussed the Main Event on here.
No. And I'm like, so that Main Event is not Saturday night's Main Event.
It's not Saturday. It's just Main Event. Yeah. No. So if that doesn't count, then yeah, like I said, the Andre the Giant Battle Royal, and before that, it was like his work with when the Final Testament was still here, and it was the New Day. Like, he started the stuff with the New Day in June.
Yeah.
He wrestled them back to back.
And Final Testament AOP stuff. Probably had more matches than Karrion Kross did in the last year.
Yeah. Yeah. Because it's like he was still working. There's plenty of WWE live events that he's working, but like as far as like seeing shit on TV, nah.
Hey, let's get it going, WWE.
Exactly. Let's capitalize on it. Exactly. Like like I said, I like the cross jacket. Just straight up, you know, just the same thing as the Kirifuda clutch or whatever you want to call it. Just a rear naked choke, sleeper hold, you know, once you wrap their legs around them. But yeah, it's crazy. #1 seller this week. And my chick that I had was Rusev, because I'm loving the character. Like you said, he hasn't missed a beat, just destroying the crap out of Alpha Academy. We didn't think it was going to go any other way, but I don't know if he redeems Otis. But because that would feel like Alpha Academy being, I mean, in a sense, like, I guess we're killing Alpha Academy at that point in time, because you're being absorbed into a new faction, I guess, if you're actually going to join him on his journey, so to speak, to be redeemed. I like the Alpha Babes, dog. I don't want to get rid of them. So, but it's going to be tough for Otis.
They could have a personality change. You know what I'm saying? Like Tozawa, you don't come on now. Tozawa could get busy. He don't have to be a comedic character.
Oh, you know definitely.
Like, he could easily be wrestling with Rey Fenix and Penta and be putting on some great matches.
Not for nothing. I feel like how much of that would just be a retread of the original Alpha Academy of, you know, Chad Gable, and then he finally turns on them and he says, like, you guys aren't like worth shit. You know what I'm saying? So in this sense, it's you guys aren't worth shit, but I'm gonna make you shit. But if you do that, then they're gonna be heels by the time by the end of it. So heel Maxine,
yeah,
heel Maxine doesn't work, dog. She's way too she's not vicious enough. She already compared like she's improved in the ring, but she's not. She can't be a heel yet. Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Unless you can, like, hey. Unless he does,
you can work underdog as a baby face.
I don't know what I don't know what she would do that would be devious enough, but like, I don't know. Maybe like low blow Otis. I don't know.
Yeah, she'll have to like Stacy Keibler, like low blow somebody. That'll be like equivalent to that.
Or like,
but yeah,
push him
I like
them balcony or something through a table or something like that. I don't know.
Vicious.
You just got to do something. She's got to do something. But then again, they're gonna put the camera on her, and you're gonna be like, you look too innocent. Sorry. It's like.
Yeah, because please don't change that blonde hair. If they change her hair, or I mean, she looks good as a brunette. She's a natural brunette anyway. But maybe if she goes natural brunette and just start wearing black. You got to wear black and like just change the makeup a little bit.
Yeah, maybe
So,
she starts
she's not
hanging
gonna
out with Scarlett.
Or no, what she hangs out with Rhea. That's perfect. What she gets like a redesign from Rhea. That'd be fucking sick. Yeah, there we go. I like that.
Anything else from the flagship?
Nah, that's it. That's it for me.
All right. I think we can take ourselves straight into the bodega. Bodega. NXT. All right, show. You have the highest thing on here. I had it as a mid. Let's talk about.
It's Miles Bourne winning the #1 contendership for the NXT championship. Primo, simply because we're making a new star. Because it's not the safe pick of a Ethan Page or a Ricky Saints or Trick or Javon, who are all, clearly main event guys in the NXT scene. We got, Trick doing his his year abroad right now with Joe Hendry and everything, and we're just still trying to slot realistic guys for Oba. So just the fact that we're making somebody else new, I mean, that's the only thing that I wouldn't say, because the Battle Royal is in a sense any given Sunday scenario, obviously, because in kayfabe anybody can win that. So you're not actually making him, but what would make him would be this match with Oba if he gets, a whole lot of offense and doesn't get completely squashed, and we believe it a little bit. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. That'll make him, and then he'll be on the mic, because we haven't heard him talk too much either. With him being part of a No Quarter Catch crew. So yeah, interesting pick. And I ain't gonna lie, I just had him as deaf Randy Orton because he actually is deaf, which I was like, oh, that's awesome. But he can read people's lips, so I was just like, oh wow, that's amazing. That he had to wrestle with I looked into him, and he had to wrestle with cochlear implants or whatever, but he's had it since childhood, whereas 4 and it's just you're gonna lose your hearing, basically. Eventually you're just gonna lose it. So he's been born with that and dealing with it, and he's on WWE and he's got a shot at the NXT championship. So you got a shot, kid, but you're going up against the ruler. So I really like the choice. That's why it's a primo.
Yeah, it was definitely
your dog is understatement.
It was definitely a surprise. I thought by the time, when we came to the final, I was like, oh, is Sean Spears gonna win this? But no, Miles Bourne ended up getting the win. I had this at mid just for the fact that I'm like, okay, we'll see where it goes. I did like the interaction afterwards backstage when the No Quarter Catch crew were talking to Obafemi, and it seemed like Charlie Dempsey was about to take his opportunity. And then he was like, nah, I got this at Battleground. But Charlie, why don't you go face him next Tuesday on NXT? And then seemed like they were going to work it into a triple threat. And then Oba was like, nah, B, I'm done with triple threats.
I'm straight.
Y'all figure that out. But I like your booking and the fact that since that I can see what happened. I can see. It seems like there's a rift that might be coming up between Miles Bourne and Charlie Dempsey. That maybe next week, Charlie Dempsey obviously loses to Obafemi. There's some joshing around that Charlie doesn't take too well to, and ends up costing Miles Bourne the title at Battlegrounds. But it looks like Miles might win it, and then all of a sudden, Charlie does some he pulls his leg or something like that, or he distracts the ref, and
which is funny. That works perfectly.
Miles pretty much had it if Charlie didn't do something.
Yeah, exactly. And then you can elevate them both because be like, oh, he was so close if it wasn't for him. Bang, there's your next rivalry for your next, NXT Battleground, or there's your next match for it.
But I'm intrigued. I'm intrigued by it. Like I said, you thought when they set this matchup last week and they were like, it's Trick Williams and he's gonna go through 25 other people. Cool. Okay, Trick is probably gonna eventually get there. He didn't. Joe Hendry ended up causing a distraction. And also one was a great thing. I don't have this anywhere, but I would have this probably as mid. Welcome back temporarily, Elijah. AKA Elias, AKA what was his brother's name? No, what was his brother's name?
Ezekiel.
Yeah. Back to the NXT for a one day only, but I have to say, Walk with Elias or Walk with Elijah is still one of the best lines ever in wrestling.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's so good.
Yeah.
Who wants to walk with Elias? I'm like, oh, so good.
And it works. He's perfectly got the I remember seeing the comment that said, "Oh, his other brothers are so proud of him, like getting his shot finally, or whatever." Like Elias and Ezekiel, but what's unique though, or what always hits, is just that guitar strum. You know who it is? Just that.
Let's go.
And I love that. Like you said, I love that line. Who wants to walk with Elijah? Yeah, and like I love it because. Once again, NXT fans being smart fans, being in that arena, I'm sure I'm willing to bet that at least a fifth of those fans that are in that arena every week are just every week fans. They're like season ticket holders. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? For sure. So
there's like this one black dude. There's like this one heavyset black dude. I remember he was a champion when I think Meechin smacked Jada Parker's ass one episode, and he's kind of fainted. I'm like, oh, you're there every week. I'm like, you're there every week, So.
But as smart as they are, because immediately they start chanting Elias, and then he says he's Elijah, and then immediately they switch back and be like, walk with Elijah. All right, you're on TNA, it's cool, but. Yeah, that was.
That's
dope.
What they should have done. I gotta negate some points for the NXT audience. You got to be smarter than that. Why would you say Elias? He's not Elias.
Yeah, he had to say it at the top of the rant first.
That's actually really disappointing. That you would still call him Elias when you know damn well that's Elijah.
Because NXT fans,
they're totally completely different people. They don't even look alike.
They don't even say if they were triplets or not. Come on now. What else?
Stone, man. His DNA be running strong.
I guess.
And those Samsons, because don't forget their last name is Samson.
Mm-hmm.
Remember, his name was was it Elias Samson or Samson Elias? Was it?
No, Elias Samson. You're right.
Elias Samson. Okay.
Yeah. His original. Yeah. Back when Vince came down to NXT real quick and said, "We don't need last names."
Last names? What do we have last names for, pal?
Or everybody drops their last name the second that they get up to the main roster. That's always what was happening. Because even Rusev had a name. He was he had a first name. We dropped his first Alexander. He was Alexander Rusev. Anyway,
so long, I forgot. It's funny. I'm watching through The Office and Aaron just debuted onto the show. I had no idea that her name was actually Kelly in the show.
Okay.
Jim mentioned, he was like, "Oh, we have a new reception. Her name is Kelly, but it's also confusing because we also have Kelly Kapoor, and so they're both Kellys and stuff like that." And she was like, "Oh, my middle name is Aaron." And then from that point on, you just called her Aaron, and I'm like,
Aaron.
Her name is Kelly as well.
Kelly, that's right. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I had no idea her name was Kelly.
Yep.
So,
we didn't put
on subject.
Yeah. It's fine. Also, I guess we talked through it slightly a little bit, but Jordynne Grace, because we talked about it in the Raw segment, Julia losing to Jordynne Grace for the #1 contendership at the women's title.
Yeah.
Like you said, it's just Julia pulling double duty right now because she's obviously on the main roster now. But I do because I feel like I wouldn't have Jordan winning it yet, possibly, but I do like how long she's been here, how quickly. What has it been like? Officially, she's been signed for 2 months, but she's been working with
around January, right? Yeah.
Where is it? Okay, January. Shit. Oh yeah, we're in the middle of May right now. God damn. We need to check that. I need to check this later on, but yeah, we're used to seeing her, if anything, because of even her TNA work when she was putting, the title on the line and challenging Roxanne Perez last year. So it still feels like it's been an appropriate amount of time for her to get this title shot. Even though it's, I don't want to say it's quick, but it's not. That's what I'm trying to say. Yeah.
And I think we also forget because like Julia was NXT Women's Champion. So it's like she already has that kind of, she already has that title under her belt, that reign under her belt. I think where I would leave this as at mid is like, okay, Julia, I get it. Like, I get the if I take myself out of the show and look at it as like, the business aspect, I'm like, all right, Julia's getting a lot of time on the main roster. That's fine. She could take this loss at NXT, and you can give Jordan Grace the opportunity to win to face off for the championship in a singles match. Fine, I'm completely cool with that. Still sucks that Julia got to take back-to-back losses on Monday and on a Monday and a Tuesday. That's all I'm saying. That's my thing. It's like, all right, if we still, I saw I think Bleacher Report talk about this where they're like, people that are kind of struggling or not struggling, but the tide is not in their favor right now, and they had mentioned Julia because of these losses, and I'm like, all right, sometimes we take wins and losses a little too seriously. But then again, I'm the same guy that I'm like, if Seth Rollins loses at WrestleMania to yada yada yada, this nigga needs to go to goddamn New Japan. So like, who am I to say? At the same time, I'm like, all right, Julia's supposed to be the top dog. You know what I'm saying? So like, how many losses is she gonna take? How many times are we gonna like see her just take L's in consecutive manners? So even if it comes down through some underhanded tactics, I would like to see both Roxanne and Julia get some wins. That's all I ask for.
I would say that it's still like that. We have the veil over our eyes of like major league versus minor league. You know what I'm saying? It's still all WWE, but it's like now that she's on Raw, the NXT, like she just got to Raw, so she just got a promotion. The NXT laws don't matter. You know what I mean? Or it's like she has a shield over herself effectively. Because if anything, if you were to take somebody from New Japan, I'm sure that there was like a viewership spike for Julia on NXT in Japan. You know what I'm saying? With her being a superstar over there previously, that's still a great match that you're going to watch in a vacuum. Just Jordan Grace straight up versus Julia. But if you add the WWE, corporate structure of it all, you know what I'm saying? That's when it's like, okay, yeah, she can just eat this because it doesn't really matter. So
yeah, I get she could definitely eat a couple losses. It's just like I'm like, okay, like in the last like 3 weeks, there are about 5 losses on your card right now. It feels like. So that's
we're gonna take you serious.
Yeah,
but this is where hopefully
I'm still gonna take her serious. It's just I'm like, hey, come on now. Like even if it's like a pull of a tights or whatever, like or you got your feet on the ropes, I don't care. Like if you're gonna be the heel, be the heel. You know what I'm saying? So that was my thing.
And I still like the fact that if anything, we got the women's Intercontinental title now on the main roster, right? So we have a division for the newcomers anyway. Lyra Valkyrie is the champion right now, and she already got experience, like more than enough experience with, Roxanne Perez. Or chemistry in the ring, not experience, but chemistry with those girls coming in. So I'll be like, if anything, if we can treat those mid-card belts seriously enough. We are right now, but we got something to aim towards. Granted, they're trying to slot themselves in the world championship picture, which I like. That's aggressive, but it's like, hey, that works though, because you're trying to make a name for yourself, like I said.
Jada Parker pretty much skipped over the Intercontinental
North American.
North American and doing great. So can't knock the hustle.
Exactly. We both didn't put a lot up here. I still did enjoy the Zarya match. I just put this in shake because generally good matches. Zarya beating Kaylani Jordan.
That was pretty cool.
Yeah,
there was a moment where I saw like Sol Ruka ended up like catching Kalani, and then like they like looked at each other. It was like almost like a romantic moment. I'm like, what is going on here? And then Kalani ended up getting like speared through the barricade by Zarya, which ended up like finishing the match. But I was like, all right, that was still a cool match. I'm curious though, like Zarya, Julia, and it felt like Stephanie all came around the same time. But like 2 of them are on the main, like are like focused on like world titles, and then they got her kind of on like the tag team North American route. So I'm like, huh.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, again, I'm still new to all of them, so I'm just like, okay, like I thought we were getting 3. I'm not saying she's not going to be there eventually. I just thought that, like, you know, she was going to be in that picture, that title picture as right now, but obviously you don't want it to be overly filled. So it's not even a qualm. It's just something I was just like, huh, okay, like it's cool. I like the dynamic between her and Sol Ruka. Like they have a pretty cool dynamic, you know, yin and yang to themselves. So it's cool.
And they also have had those like bonding, you know, YouTube clips, you know, with them working out and like teaching each other stuff.
Yeah,
exactly. So that's why I enjoy the because that's the kind of stuff like it's extra, but it's like that's the young people thing that you can do on NXT. You know what I'm saying? Kids are gonna watch NXT and like be on YouTube, and you can see that these two, like I said, like because their aesthetic definitely doesn't work when you immediately see them. Their aesthetic, they don't have matching ring gear and stuff, you know. So it's like, okay, why does this clearly powerhouse of a woman deal with this like a very athletic surfer chick? You know what I'm saying? But hey, they've gotten a whole lot of success together, if anything.
Who do you think turns on who?
Well, I mean, we're setting up for Rosario, right? I mean, that's like a classic, like easy.
Rosario,
that's obvious.
But, I mean, like, I would like to see Sol Ruka be a heel.
Yeah, that'd be interesting. That would be interesting. What if she leans into her blackness and pulls an Eddie Thorpe, because you know we ain't gonna be like, hold on a second, goddamn it, like she'd be like, no, ain't no white bitch taking this title off of me or some shit. You're like, wait, hold on a second, like that'd be fire, yo. And then immediately Jada Parker's like, I knew I fucked with you for real. Like she joins OTM now. Sol Ruka's with OTM.
OTM is gone. They can't even remember that Jada Parker used to come out with 2 dudes.
Yeah, right. Man, I just booked them into. I have no idea. I just booked them into relevancy though. The women are carrying them. We'll have the NXT Women's Champion and the North American Champion in the same faction. Like, hey, y'all niggas need to get y'all shit together. Like, basically, that shit would be funny.
I think a heel surfer would be pretty dope, but I think I'm also biased because the new Nicolas Cage movie, The Surfer, there's some evil surfers on there. So it's like so I'm like, oh, okay, that'd be an interesting dynamic. Like usually you think surfers are just like, oh yeah, beach people, like, oh yeah, man, we're the beach, man, we're cool, we're chilling, you know, we're all having a good time, all this, that, and the third. Now I need to see. I think again, the obvious pick would be Zarya. The challenging pick would be Sol Ruka, so I would go for that.
Yeah.
Anything else at the bodega we want to wrap about?
Quickly, I'm glad Dark State won because you know Trick and Joe Hendry got into it, Trick pulled Joe Hendry out during the 3-on-3 match. It was Hank and Tank and Joe Hendry versus Dark State. And, you know I don't fuck with Hank and Tank, so I got to see that triple power, that alley-oop power bomb. I was like, great, y'all lost. So that's it. But
all right, no doubt. I think we are done at the bodega, making some pretty decent time. Let's step ourselves into the not the pop-up shop. The wow, my mouse be just disappearing.
The coffee shop.
The coffee shop. AEW Dynamite. Oh, that's where it happens. My mouse is connected. My laptop and my tablet are connected, so sometimes my mouse will go into my tablet, and I'm like, "Where's my mouse?" AEW Dynamite. We are about a week away from Beach Break. Is that on the weekend or is that a theme show? Is that a pop-up show?
I think it's just a theme show. It's just a theme show, I'm pretty sure, because I brought up the list of the pay-per-views, you know, coming up, and it's not on the pay-per-view list. So I think it's just a theme Dynamite.
I feel like the next pay-per-view is All In, right? The pop-up show it's All In.
No, the next one is Double or Nothing. Double or Nothing is the 25th. Yeah, we got 2 weeks until Double or Nothing, and then that's the winners of the Owen facing off, and Moxley against whoever he's going to defend against, and then we don't get All In until July. But yeah, July 12th.
Okay, so we got about 2 weeks until Double or Nothing, and then so next week is just a theme show. Okay, cool.
Yep.
I would say this is again, to me, these past 2 weeks of wrestling have been pretty tame for my liking, but there have been some good stuff. I agree with you though that the Hangman Ospreay face-off is probably one of the best things this week on television, and primarily what put it over for me was the line by Ospreay saying that, you know, we're not here for your redemption. We're here for my ascension or something along those lines. I'm like,
that's a bar of bars.
Yeah, that was a pretty dope bar. But you know, some of it I was like, guys, like some of it's a little cheesy. Like when, you know, the Don Callis family comes out and then they start bickering, and then all of a sudden Ospreay puts his hands on Hangman, and then he's like, huh, and then I'm like, this jumps to my champion of the week, but I'm like, this dude Will Ospreay wants to go on, you know, whatever radio show that he's being interviewed or podcast on, talking about like, oh, I don't watch WWE. It's too much entertainment and television, and that's why I want AEW because it's more sports based. Bro, everything you just did in this promo is TV entertainment. So miss me with that. And miss me with that. So, but
drama, yeah, exactly.
I give you props for elevating the animosity. I find it highly weird that as many companies of these two have been in that they've never talked to each other.
Mm-hmm.
Y'all some bad coworkers. like, y'all don't see each other in catering. Like what?
Mm-hmm.
Like, you've been AEW for a year. Come on now. You ain't.
Yeah, but that's dope though, because they have kept him apart the entire time because we've been locked in on basically everything that Will has done. The first thing Will had when he showed up was Swerve, because everybody was like, "Oh shit, can he just show up and beat Swerve?" And he was like, "Hell no, nah. Beat me, Swerve!" Like, but and then you go into the rivalry with MJF. They have not crossed paths at all, legitimately in kayfabe in AEW.
Sure. But we're talking about on television, sure. But I'm like, all right, you guys probably like you've been in New Japan, you've been
together,
in AEW, you've been. I'm like, y'all ain't never just so happened to walk into the building at the same time. Y'all ain't never been on the buffet line, just like, oh, snap, what up, Will? What up?
You ain't never said, "Are you all right, man? You took a hard bump last night," or "I liked your match." You ain't never said that. Like, that's crazy.
You ain't never cross passing Gorilla. Y'all matches ain't never. I'm just saying, like, I find that hard to believe.
I will say that this was like, if this was like a, I guess this feels like a movie in the sense of like the whole exposition that we get of like Hangman. He's like, all right, here's the first movie that happened. Like the story of my life is main character page. And he starts with like Swerve and stuff. And that's like the genesis of the character. He's like, I thought that I would get justice and that I would, you know, be happy. And I did get justice and I nearly killed him. But I feel nothing. And just talking about, he bottles up his emotions. He takes it out on people around him until other people get hurt, like Christopher Daniels. And it takes, you know, that much for him to realize when, and, you know, interrupt Will Ospreay. This ain't about all that bullshit. You know what I'm saying? But he gave us that whole recap of like what happened, which I thought was done very well. But I was like, yeah, we would be complaining about that if that was actually in a movie. Be like, yo, this exposition dump is ridiculous. like you're just giving us. But I guess you need it just because like we're building the fact that they've never even wrestled. So it's like the fact that you got the two biggest faces or the two biggest guys that the crowd are definitely cheering for both of them is gonna make it the most unpredictable. You know what I mean? Of like who you calling the your shadow, because it's like that person is gonna go on.
Go ahead. Sorry.
I was gonna say that person doesn't get the shot at Moxley, and we either person that wins has a really good shot, probably the best in Moxley's reign. So
yeah, I would say like if I had to pick between like the Owen Hart, like which one was the most predictable, I would say Mercedes versus Jamie Hayter. In my opinion, I feel like okay, like Mercedes most likely will probably win this because I'm like, you got 5 belts. Like you want to have the 5 belt person go against Tony Storm.
Well, actually, actually not interrupting, but you're bringing up a great moment that happened literally not even 24 hours ago. She's down to 3 belts, actually. Mercedes lost the New Japan Strong Women's title in a triple threat with Mina Shirakawa and AZM. AZM won, pinning Mina Shirakawa. So her shoulders weren't on the mat, but she still, you got that lasting image of her like in the corner, like how did this type of shit? But it was just like, oh wow, yeah, that happened literally last night. So, but I agree with you, the whole belt collector thing. I was riding with that. So I'm like, okay. But maybe she's like, hey, I need to replace this one. Maybe that's what it is.
Yeah,
so,
I only got so many shoulders and waist.
She's like, I work for AEW, so I might as well have all the AEW titles. That makes sense, Like maybe she'll just turn around in storylines. You can just say that.
Like, yo, bro, your lease on our belt is up. We need our belt back.
It's up, for real. Like you've been doing a whole lot. But yeah, where are we at in the show? Oh yeah, we were still talking about that. But yeah. Will Ospreay and Hangman, great. Looking forward to it. Oh, you said more predictable was Mercedes winning. Yeah, I agree with that for sure. I agree with that. Because I mean, honestly, the question is, you might as well, if you're making the biggest match that you can make, if you're just putting both of the belts on Will and Mercedes, like those are best bout machines. They are the best wrestlers in the world. Like Will, I would have as the best wrestler in the world right now, and then Mercedes. Like I said, that Britt Baker match, that Britt Baker rivalry definitely made her fucking like stumble on the way in. But it was like, all right, after that whole correction, it was like, all right, she's been putting on stuff. You know what I'm saying? Great stuff. So,
yeah, Mercedes ring work is one of the best. Her mic work has always been something that left to be desired for me.
I think she's good at being annoying in AEW though. She's almost like a wrestling. Vicky Guerrero. Like that's why every time I hear her say the CEO thing, I'm like, it just hits that Vicky Guerrero, like, excuse me. Like it's that same tone,
That's a
and it's like
comparison. I don't hate it.
Yeah. It's just like, because she is a heel. I mean, she's just arrogant. She's an arrogant champion. She's like she's basically Ric Flair as a character. You can't beat me. I'm the best.
She's Liv Morgan.
Yeah, she's a cross of like Liv Morgan annoying, Ric Flair in the ring. Yeah. Ric Flair's flair and stuff and style.
I like Liv, but I'm like, yo, her character, it annoys me. Like,
seriously. That laugh is obnoxious as shit. Like I've been saying it. Like, I think that's partially what got her over is that stupid ass laugh.
Who, Liv or Mercedes?
Liv, yeah. Let's talk about Okada.
I was like, oh, okay. You want me to talk about Okada?
Yeah. I mean,
I'll talk about Okada. I like.
We both will, obviously.
I like this match. Okada beating Kevin Knight. I like the dynamics of what happened to a degree. I have this as mid-rising, primarily because I'm intrigued by the Mike Bailey speedball aspect of it because Kevin Knight was coming out. He got jumped by, I think, Leo Rush.
Oh, I didn't. That would make sense though. Yeah. I forget what their tag team name is. Action Andretti and Leo Rush, probably. Yeah.
Kevin Knight got jumped by Leo Rush before he came out. When he was coming out to the ring. Speedball ended up making saving him. So Kevin Knight's already coming into this match already kind of like limping to a degree. Ends up making some, getting a little bit of a comeback. There was a really dope kind of like spinning frog splash. I thought that was really dope. He does this like frog splash, and then he kind of
the
like
UFO, the UFO splash. Yeah.
I thought that was really dope. But of course, Okada is going to win. You know what I'm saying? Like, so Okada hits the Rainmaker, ends up getting the 1, 2, 3, and then he continues to beat down Kevin Knight afterwards, and then Speedball comes back to make another save to help Kevin Knight. So particularly, I don't like the fact that the black man had to be helped out twice by the same dude. That's like 5'4", but like fine, I get it. But I do think that Kevin Knight the speedball of it. I do understand that Kevin Knight is kind of like on his residency, or like he's only here for a certain amount of time. So they in effect gave him a good cover to be like, you could have had Okada if you were 100% healthy. So I like that. I like that cover that they gave for him. And I'm also intrigued by this Okada Speedball Mike Bailey match that seems like we're going to be coming up to. So that's why I got this in mid-rising.
Yeah, and then especially hearing that it was a championship eliminator match, I was like, okay, are we going to keep Okada off of Double or Nothing? I doubt it. I mean, it wouldn't surprise me, but I was like, would that be Kevin Knight challenging him? I feel like you can put somebody else there. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it would be an awesome look for him just for him to, like, like in the Euro League, be on loan or whatever. That's a great look. But still, yeah, you're right. I think the chemistry really stood out just because both of them are working in New Japan, style effectively. And, Kevin Knight, his athleticism just stands out. Similar to Montez Ford, except he has he does have more of a stout framework, or more of a stout frame to him. But yeah, he was over like Rover Dog, but we knew that Rainmaker was going to knock his head off. That's exactly what happened. So,
well, like I said, like they protected him enough where it's like, man, run this back where he's not coming in after being jumped 5 seconds before the match. We might be seeing something different. So it just leaves you anticipating to see the matchup next time when the cards are all even.
So exactly
mid-rising, and then again. Speedball's been impressive since he's debuted. That I'm like, okay, Speedball versus Okada, that should be fun.
Yeah.
That should be fun. You know what would be really fun? Speedball versus Cocaine.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's exactly what needs to happen. Hold on. Hey, actually, yeah, you look that up on Cage Match. Go to cagematch.com and look up Speedball Mike Bailey's wrestling history. Just click matches under his name. We'll look into that because him being on the indies, that might have happened. That would be fucking sick. I don't know what promotion Cocaine works for, but he was one of our champions of the week when I brought him up. So there is a history there. Yeah, my other mid that I had was the Fatal 4-Way. Women's championship eliminator, where it was Toni Storm getting the W over Penelope Ford, Anna Jay, and Thunder Rosa. And like this was like the equivalent of what you just said, the weekly multi-man match on AEW. This was the equivalent for me where even Bleacher Report has it as B+. I guess that's about right. I wouldn't necessarily put this at an A just because I was never in it in the sense that like I felt like Toni Storm was in danger, but I did like the spot of once again building up Megan Bayne, interrupting the match in the middle, and like coming in like the Colossus that she is, and like hitting these flying like she launches herself it's like a diving clothesline, but she's so big it's like I think she's able to just like throw herself like a plane. I want to see her do it like because she does it running mostly, like the running like lariat clothesline thing, but definitely one of her signature moves, and Fate's Descent, which is her F5. But my girl showed up, dog. Like when Harley Cameron showed up, I was like, all right, one of my girls bailing out the other one. Thank God, because that was probably the most believable time when Megan Bayne is just wrecking everybody's shit in the middle of the match. But Harley Cameron, she got no business being out here unless like really trying to wonder like what's she trying to do here? Is she trying to get in the good graces of Tony? Like she was trying to get in the good graces of Mercedes for a title shot? That would be interesting because also Tony won this match. So none of those three women can challenge her. So that's an interesting thought. But yeah, she came out with that lead pipe and beat the crap out of Megan Bayne backstage. And then for the funniest, what's great also about Toni Storm, why I love her so much, is that at her purest, she is a comedy character completely. And but we know she's an amazing wrestler, but literally in her promos are just dripping with sexual innuendos and like nobody comes before Toni Storm, darling. I make you come around here, like some shit like that. That's what she says. And for her to like the end of this match kicking Penelope Ford in between the legs because she has her like dang it, I forget what it is. It's sort of like that reverse like regal stretch or like the STFs where it's like a reverse grip STF where she's bending backwards. So her crotch is open and Tony Storm just come in and punts her right in between the legs and then puts the chicken wing chokehold on her, which now is becoming her. I'm pretty sure we can just call this solidly her submission finisher because she's finished more than a few matches recently on Collision and stuff with that. But yeah, my girl is holding it down. She won, but I enjoyed all of this, and the spots were great. And maybe Harley Cameron's working her way in there to challenge Tony Storm, but that's what I got. I enjoyed that. Do you watch that match?
I did. I think I caught most of the highlights, so I did not catch a lot of the details that you filled in. So that was very kind of you. Okay, I did see that Megan Payne did kind of come in, but I was like, oh, okay. Otherwise, I mean, like, I do enjoy Thunder Rosa and Penelope Ford. I'm like, Anna Jay. It's like this is one thing about the AEW show and I don't have this elsewhere, but we also had Ricochet and the Young Bucks versus Swerve and who was it?
Looking at it, Mark Briscoe and Mike Bailey. They were in that match.
Okay, in that match, and I'm like, the match is going to be great. Other than the match being just great from a match standpoint, like, okay, yeah, like this is just to have a match, I felt like this was kind of the same thing. Like, we're just having a match just to have a match, and the match is going to be great, but like, what is the point?
Yeah. Especially because I actually missed this match. I would need to have to go back and watch that one, the Young Bucks and Ricochet winning.
It's a good match. But again, like the point of it is just an all-star match.
The only thought that I would have is like, if you were to take it seriously, it's like, are we heating up Swerve and Ricochet again? But that would be too soon because that doesn't make sense. It makes sense in the mechanics of the match just because they don't like each other. But like I said, I don't necessarily want that right now for either one of them since they just had that. Like, but they just had their trilogy. It seems
like the goal is just to get Ricochet into the Elite.
Oh, is that what he's doing? Okay. I mean, he already tried the Hurt Syndicate. He wants backup.
Yeah, so. I mean, but him being with the Elite and being with the Bucks, I think that would work well. I would like that better than the Hurt Syndicate.
The Hurt Syndicate. No, you're right. Yeah. He fits their style a lot better. You're right. Absolutely. And that is very intriguing thinking about. Yeah, now
they had that one moment last week where I think I don't know which Jackson, but like Ricochet, like they put their hair over Ricochet's bald head, and so it made it look like Ricochet had hair again.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, okay, it's clever, it's cute. And have you seen Ricochet when he did have hair?
Oh yeah. Back when he was still like
he had like Edge and Christian hair. I'm like, Jesus, bro.
Weird, yeah. Yeah, weird shit. What else happened on this episode? We got my shake on here, or I guess we agree on this first shake. MJF hurting Top Flight, still trying to get into the Hurt Syndicate himself. Thing, it starts off with the Hurt Syndicate, an official Hurt Syndicate announcement. Who's the bravest back there that's going to get snapped in half by the Gold Standard and the Almighty? Sure enough, we have Top Flight come out, Dante Martin, the Martin brothers, and saying they deserve a shot. But before they even get a chance to get halfway down the ramp, MJF takes them out. We see that Dynamite Diamond ring. But I forget which one of them open, but I thought it was going to get a little bit more vicious, honestly. But then again, we haven't seen the Hurt Syndicate use a weapon yet either. So I was like, maybe it's not like that. But I thought he just wanted, because Bobby just wanted to see the viciousness, I suppose. But he was able to draw blood enough to get a little smear across the top of his beater. And Bobby's like, I'll have an answer for you next week, which is like the most eye roll thing of all time. So it's like, granted, like this is like what we're working towards. So I guess it must be at Double or Nothing, maybe. I mean, he said next week, but
I was originally gonna have this like maybe like at mids, but then I was like,
it's been too long.
That's my problem where we're at with the storyline right now. I'm like, we are really dragging this out, but I wanted to give it credit that I'm like, hey, progress.
Yeah, and not for nothing. I'm pretty sure
something happened other than the like, oh, here's this frivolous stuff. I'm like, okay, you showed somebody, you powerbombed somebody on the edge of the ring. Cool. You said you hurt people. Okay, cool. I'm curious to see where this is going because right now it just seems like it's going to end up, even if he does get into the Hurt Syndicate, it's just still going to end up with him turning on Bobby. And we're going to get Bobby versus MJF. So can we just get that Bobby versus MJF? I'm tired of this already.
Yeah. I mean, I think once again, like that's just us as fans being impatient, right? Because the one complaint that I would have is that MJF, if you try to get in the Hurt Syndicate, MJF, you just saw Ricochet do that. And they said the same thing. They said hurt someone. So why are you trying to buy them off? It's like, this is the part where it's like, all right, wrestlers don't watch tape. That's why the ones that do stand out. But I'm like, bro, you should know that already. That's kind of like the issue that I have with it and why I have it in Shake, in the sense that like, yeah, you're a dude. Like it works because you're like, originally all three of them didn't fuck with them. You know what I'm saying? Or actually, no. Originally Shelton and Bobby didn't fuck with them. We had to get the whole segment of like the initial like not MJF, MVP vouching for MJF and being like, oh yeah, we go back. And that's where we start at. And then over the last few weeks we get here. But it's like, we could have skipped to the important part. And like at this point in time, we would have like the Hurt Syndicate and MJF be like challenging for the trios championships, or actually maybe he is slotted to like challenge Moxley closer to All In, you know what I mean? Because that's what he wants, his belt back, obviously. Or something. He's got to get something, like easily he can hold a singles title, like by this point in time, or we would be talking about that going into Double or Nothing if he was already part of Hurt Syndicate.
Yeah. But you know me, like I was like, why is Bobby messing around with tag team titles? Like, why? Yeah. And when we started this MJF, like, you know, trying to get, I'm like, okay, this is interesting. I'm curious about this. It seems we're stretching this really. We're stretching this out. This doesn't seem like a 6-month story, but they're making it feels like they're going to make this a 6-month story. You know, I'm like, Jesus.
Yeah. I don't think it hasn't been that long. It's been like 2 months, I think. Right?
No, yeah.
It feels again. It hasn't been 6 months. It feels like that. It does feel like that.
If we understand that this is only the first third, right? He's gonna get into the Hurt Syndicate. They're gonna be some friction, and then eventually he's gonna get kicked out, and then that's the second third. The final third is going to be Ricochet. Is going to be MJF versus Bobby Lashley. That's the third. So that's 6 months. If you take if we just finished the first third, that's 2 months. The next 2 months is going to be him and the Hurt Syndicate.
It's been
the last 2 months is going to be him. That's 6 months. Is that a 6-month storyline? Not for me.
No, his
and last. Also, I don't care. I don't as long as Bobby, as long as it gets Bobby into a singles competitor fighting for the main title. I don't care.
We'll see, but you know that's a tall task to ask that. I feel like
that's always been my ask of like why come to AEW if you're just going to be hanging around the mid card.
Well, I mean they answered that question already, and they said that it's because they were when the Hurt Business was keeping business afloat. It was the pandemic. They wanted to at least be in front of the crowd. They wanted to feel the people again. So it's like you ain't gonna blame them for that, obviously. So
I don't mind having the Hurt Syndicate. It's the Hurt Syndicate could be a lot bigger than just focusing on tag team titles.
Sure. Yeah.
At least, or if you're gonna have tag team titles, get Shelton a tag team title with somebody else. I don't care if it's Cedric Alexander, Ricochet. I don't care. But Bobby is supposed to. If you call Bobby the CEO, he ain't the CEO. Ain't hanging on the mid card. That's middle manager.
Yeah.
Oh, you are assistant to the regional manager, man. Like, what are we doing?
Come on, they're dominant. They're dominant. But his last match, that's what I was going to say, MJF, actual match was against Adam Page 2 months ago. So it's been 2 months. That was March 9th. So for 2 months, he's been trying to get in Hurt Syndicate.
We're coming up on the end of the first third of this 6-month story.
Which I will say, that's what you think. Yeah. Which I do like this in the sense that, like, because he's been here. You know what I mean? So it's cool that obviously he's been active, but if you were to like look straight up at this, cage match, it's like, oh, he hasn't been around, but it's like he's just in segments and his presence is being felt. You know what I mean? Even though he's not in ring. So it's cool to see the conservation of a wrestler, I guess, in their prime. Like they're still getting stuff across. And lastly, what else do I got up here? Mercedes. She interrupts Jamie Hayter's interview with Renee Paquette, and says that she's insulted that, Mercedes says she sees a lot of herself in Jamie. And they basically just end up scrapping, get the aggression out real quick, fight through the gimmick stage area, which I thought was pretty interesting because it looked like they were coming down from like, in like
I thought they were on the balcony, and so when she knocked her off, I was like, oh my god, she died.
It looks like that, because it has that framing of that theater seat thing right there that she had to step over. So I just thought that was interesting right there. And like originally, Mercedes goes running off, like Jamie Hayter says, like she's running away, like she owes me money because she's about to hit her with that haterade. Mercedes ducks, and then Mercedes sneaks her from behind, puts the statement maker on her. And they put each other over a lot. Jesus, excuse me. And because Jamie Hayter, she was screaming in agony, like from the statement maker. She had me convinced. But yeah, that was the last bit of AEW news. The thing I didn't put on here, decent show from AEW. Like I said, everything's been, I think, in a good. Like you said, you asked me at the beginning of the episode how I felt about just all built. Like it's like the build is really good. It is not as amped up as we were prior to Mania. You know what I'm saying? But it still feels like I'm getting ready for stuff.
I think I didn't put it on. Maybe that's not them. Maybe that's just us. It's just like like you said, we all just came off of WrestleMania. We all just kind of need a break. It's like imagine like the Super Bowl is being over, and then 2 weeks later you got Week 1.
Yeah, right. You'd be like, all right, chill out, dog.
Yeah, come on, relax now. I love football.
Yo, the players would riot. The players would riot. Except for practice squad. Practice squad be like, I'll go out there.
I'll play.
Yeah.
I'm better than Tom Brady.
Right.
Pat Mahomes.
In the TNA part of the coffee shop, which I did not put on here, we did get the debuts and signings of some more knockouts or more super TNA superstars. Victoria Crawford and my girl Indy Hartwell. Indy's in TNA. Yep. And I watched her a little interview with Chris Van Vliet, and basically she just asked nicely. That's basically what it was. Because she was like, hey, it was my name on the Indies. I've always had this name. And they brought it there, and she sold it to them. And she's like, hey, can I get that back? And they're like, all right. So
thanks. Appreciate it.
Yeah. Thank goodness.
Yeah.
Thank goodness.
WWE did something at least nice. I did want to call out two things on with Dynamite. Or one thing, on both have it on Dynamite. Rhino came back. I'm pretty sure he was on AEW at one point.
I think the early days, like that first year. Yeah.
Rhino was there, and he fought for the Ring of Honor title or something like that.
Ring of Honor Pure.
I only bring that up because I actually saw a headline earlier in the week talking about how Rhino would love to face Mox, Adam Cope, and Christian Cage. And my first thought, I'm like, bro, you fought Cope and Christian Cage 20 years ago on WWE television. I don't care. Like,
here you go with this shit again. Here you go with this shit again. All right.
And
I don't care about this comment. I don't care about this comment right here.
I also bring this up because Ricochet fought someone that I had to like double take, like I guess like double ear blink, if you can call that, when I heard it. Zach Gowen on Collision.
Oh, yeah.
I haven't seen Zach Allen in like 20 years. What are we doing?
Literally.
Like, shout out to him. Like, I love that he's still
21
wrestling.
years.
I love that all these guys are still wrestling and still are active in it. But I'm like, bro, this is my issues with AEW. It's like you guys live in the past way too much. Way too much. If I see Rhino versus Cope or Christian Cage, I'm turning that shit off.
They can. All right. So first off, I think you're putting way too much weight in this. I understand exactly what you're saying, sure, but we're not going to act like when we're smart fans that these people don't actually know each other and don't fuck with each other. And so let's start there. Let's start there. That's the reason that he's going out there, possibly. Like when we talking about, he's part of the greatest multi-man tag team, and he wasn't even in the match technically, but he was.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? We understand that, but. Of course he would want to fuck with his boys on the way out the door. They're not going to wrestle forever. So, yeah, you don't got to care for it. Like, I didn't care about not MJF. I didn't care about Jeff Jarrett trying to challenge for the AEW championship. And MJF didn't even let him get there. So, yes, I agree. Storyline-wise, I don't give a shit. But you got to be a smart fan about this and understand what's happening here. Like, yeah, I don't need him winning a title. But, like you said, that double ear blink, when you hear that fucking Rhino music and shit, it was surprising for sure, but you can't be like off the rip like this is an atrocity because they're trying to live in the old age.
Rhino,
people are people.
As much as I love Rhino, he's never been, in my opinion, in the best of shape. That I'm like now seeing Rhino. I don't know how old he is, but let's assume that he's like close to his 50s or whatnot.
Probably they all are. Yeah,
bro. That the spear was not barely hitting 20 years ago. It ain't gonna hit today.
49. Yeah.
Like Christian is probably the best worker out of all three. And at this point, and I'm like, man, like I'm just it's just living in the past. That's all. That's my thing. It's just like there's too many times. Again, same thing with the Zach Gallen thing. I love that the dude's still wrestling. But the fact that it ends up with his leg getting taken, I'm like, bro, we've seen this. We've seen this. Is that the storyline that's the only thing you got? Is there somebody going to take your leg?
I hear you. I think you're putting too much into it, like I just said. But
I am. I'm being a little extra on it. I'm just like,
living in the past is heavy.
I don't have it listed on the card. I just brought it up because I'm like, man, like, can we move forward? That's all. Can we move forward at any point? And as we say that, we go back into history. Do we have anything? Are we done with Dynamite? Are we done?
Yeah, we're done. Yo, Rhino's middle name is Guido. His name is Terrence Guido Guerin. Guido.
Is he Italian?
Canadian.
I have no idea because he's so tan. I'm like, I don't know if that's like a tanning booth tan or if he's Italian.
Excuse me, sorry. Yes, he is Italian. Italian of his descent with ancestry, specifically Venetian. Okay, Venice.
Yeah, probably similar to maybe like Taz, because Taz is Italian as well.
Yeah. Anyway, but yeah, we're done with the coffee shop.
Go to the gallery, Book of Wrestling.
In the Book of Wrestling, we smoke with our pinkies up now that we have entered into the Book of Wrestling.
The gallery allows that. What a forward-thinking gallery to allow smoking.
Yeah. Maybe they're not, because I do hear the feds coming for me right now.
That's ambulances.
Oh, okay, well, we can always hope. Hopefully so. I kept it light, people. I'm sorry if you wanted to see a match, but I made up for it in the Champions of the Week. So no match this week. But Samson, you want to take your choice of the two? We have one that's very recent. Or excuse me, I put the wrong one on there. That's definitely supposed to be 85, not 25.
I was about to say. I'll update it. I'll take that. I'll read that because I have that open. Yeah. May 10th, 1985 is the first ever Saturday night's main event. The first episode ever of Saturday Night's Main Event is taped at Nassau Coliseum in Uniondale, New York. The most high-profile match on the card saw a bum named Hulk Hogan take a disqualification win over Bob Orton with Hogan's WWF Championship on the line. Jeez, man. Speaking of Hogan, I saw somebody posted like Hogan's the number of losses that Hogan took on pop-up shows during his WCW run. It was like about 6 to 7. It was about 6 to 8 losses that he had in about 5-year span that he's lost on a pay-per-view when he was in WCW. Every loss was not clean.
Ridiculous.
He never took a clean loss. Even against Sting, he couldn't take a clean loss.
That's awesome to be able to dictate the books as a wrestler, like as a straight up wrestler too. You ain't even part of like writing and shit, but you just getting whatever you want. Our other entrant into the book of wrestling, another historic event. I didn't want to go too much on the book of wrestling just because, hey, we're going to be around for a long time, people. I'm willing to bet we'll be at season 35 before we know it. So I don't want to blow our load on every single like important thing throughout the week. Let's just stick with today for now. But this happens to be a really good one because this is the peak of the Attitude Era, and this is the entrant for the highest rated, most watched Raw of all time, which was May 10th, 1999. Monday Night Raw taking place in Orlando, Florida, hit a Nielsen rating of 8.1 on the USA Network. It became the most watched episode of Raw in its home country history. It's a record unlikely to be broken. It's a star-studded main event. The Rock, Stone Cold, Steve Austin, and Vince McMahon defeated the corporate ministry, Shane McMahon, Undertaker, and Triple H. Also on the card, Deborah won the women's championship in a curious circumstances. She was set up for an evening gown match with champion Sable. However, the champion replaced herself in the match with Nicole Bass, who quickly defeated the challenger. The commissioner, Shawn Michaels, then came to the ring to announce that the match was actually subject to reversal for the usual rules for the type of match, as the woman had to be stripped naked first, or stripped to their bra and panties, obviously. Deborah was the winner of the match and the new champion. And this is also Sable's last appearance with the company until 2003. The highest rated Raw of all time. That's what we were into back in the 90s.
Yeah, it just shows you that, like, man, like, just reading that, I'm like, man, you thought, like, something else. Like, I would have to go back, because I remember most of this show, but obviously I don't remember you remember the main parts, but you don't remember, like, the...
Yeah.
Everything.
The backstage, mid-card.
All the stuff. But I'm like, there's got to be more than this to be an 8.1, other than, like, that wrestling was
we were just there.
Super popular, and, you know, we just lived in a much more... homogenized society at the time, like a less fragmented society as far as like our TV interest, because we didn't have internet like that. But yeah, we're never getting an 8.1 for wrestling ever.
Yeah, right.
Like, that's wild. That's wild. And then to hear The Rock, Stone Cold, and Vince McMahon defeated the corporate ministry, when the corporate ministry, you find out like a month later, was fucking Vince McMahon all along.
Yeah.
And then, to hear that Deborah won the championship because she got stripped first, I was like, yeah, I remember that. And it was such a weird time for wrestling. But again, the Attitude Era, some great moments and then some head scratching moments that, like, with hindsight, they're like, man, what a weird time.
Absolutely. I'm willing to bet that it's just us as a society. You know what I mean? We were just like super anti-establishment. And everybody wanted to punch their boss in the face. You know what I'm saying? And Stone Cold was the embodiment of that. So I'm going to try and find this, but we'll get back to it later. But that's our two entrants on the Book of Wrestling right there.
All right. We can take ourselves into this boutique, SmackDown boutique.
Okay, here we go. Actually, I'm sorry. Sorry about this. The card. Okay. So on the entire card, singles, we had Ken Shamrock versus Chyna. We had losers leave WWF tag team match, Gerald Briscoe and Pat Patterson versus the Main Street Posse. We had a 2-on-1 handicap match, hardcore handicap match, Cactus Jack versus the Corporate Ministry, Midian and Viscera. Nightstick on a pole match. Well, we remember that. The Test and Big Boss Man. That was that night. The evening gown match. Paul Bearer versus the Big Show. Singles match. And Kane versus Billy Gunn. There we go.
Yeah,
yep. That's everything that happened.
That's just the time. That's not an 8.1 episode. That's just the time.
Bradshaw versus Farouk in a lumberjack match. Also missed that one. But there you go.
That's wild.
Now we're at the boutique.
Yeah, let's get into SmackDown. You had the highest thing on the card.
Yeah. Fraxium beating the Street Profits only because it's like, the only thing is I was like, I can't remember like a Kevin Owens type situation for a tag team. You know, like the immediate call up and win the titles. Yeah. Like maybe that's happened because I remember the Ascension. They were really hot and they were 2-time NXT champions, but I don't think they won the actual belts until like later on. So that was surprising. That's why they were up here for surprise factor more than anything, because I also had to balance it with the fact that I'm like, they were still protected though, because the Street Profits are banged up. You know, they had the taped up ribs and stuff. So I was like, I appreciate that, but I still just don't want them taking L's. You know what I mean? But I was like,
that's why I had that as a mid.
Exactly. But I was like, maybe they just give them the match tonight. Maybe that's a match that's added immediately to Backlash. And I was like, okay, that makes sense then. Because obviously, if you pin the champions, you get a shot. So, duh. But
yeah.
And like I said, you protected them with bucks.
They might leave it for Saturday night's main event. But yeah, I get it. Mm-hmm. Like, if I had to put my kayfabe hat on, the Street Profits were banged up. Okay, this, that, and the third. Fine. Fraximia is a great team. Whatever. Taking my kayfabe hat off, I'm like, bruh, the Street Profits should not be taking this loss.
Yeah, no, that's a fact. Big facts. When we've been waiting for you, like,
even with taped up ribs, they should not be taking this loss. They should not be taking this loss. This felt more, and you know, I've said this before. There's times where WWE, it feels like they want you to feel something rather than you organically getting it over. Like, they want you to believe. If you're not familiar with Fraxium, they want you to believe that Fraxium is a good team. And it's like, I know Fraxium is a good team. That doesn't mean that they should be beating the Street Profits on their first night in an impromptu match. Like, I don't care. You could build all the circumstances and all that. Like, the same thing that we did with Kevin Knight versus Okada. Fine. But Kevin Knight still ended up losing, though, still, too. You know what I'm saying? So that's where my thing, I felt this was more of, hey, if you don't know that Fraxium is good, they're good. And it's like, you don't need to do that. They could have did the same thing in a loss. So this is more of the disrespect towards Frax and to Street. This is WWE's continued disrespect to to Street Profits. I gotta leave it as a mid.
Yeah. That's me, like I said, taking it in a vacuum. That I'm just like, wow, okay, they really did give him the win. So.
Yeah, I get it. It's just I couldn't get past that. I couldn't get past that.
The mid that I had on here was Damian Priest and LA Knight getting the W over the Bloodline. Granted, you know, the champion wasn't pinned, so fuck that. You know, you ain't nobody pinning Fatu right now. But Solo takes the BFT in the end and gets pinned. But really, this was also the story of, you know, can they coexist once again between LA Knight and Damian Priest the entire time? You know, Damian tagging himself in when LA is about to hit his, you know, elbow drop and shit. But afterwards, after their not celebration, they start beating each other up, actually, because they can't coexist. They just waited until the end of the match. But hey, then the hottest thing smoking, all gas, no brakes, come through, take both of them out. But this is where, this is the moment exactly that Jacob Fatu has been officially committed to like the WWE roster, I think, by taking this Claymore from Drew, because he has been indestructible. this entire time.
You never see Jacob just lay there after the fact. You're just like, oh, okay.
Exactly. That's the first time he's ever been at 0 HP. That's the first time we've seen it. So that's where I'm like, okay, that's dope, because now it makes me feel like, all right, now we'll actually see where he's slotted. You know what I'm saying? It's believable that Drew could come and kick your head off because he's a multiple-time heavyweight and WWE champion. You know what I mean? So he's lending legitimacy to him, realistically.
A United States championship away from
a Grand Slam,
champion. So interesting dynamic there.
Yeah, in the same sort of way that I mean, and then that you could still protect him in the same way that Mercedes just lost. Like, if he loses out of, like, you could call it inexperience, I guess, just because it's his first title reign or whatever, and you know, Drew Claymore's fucking Damian Priest again. 1, 2, 3.
But that's the hard thing about any of this. Like, when we get to the Backlash prediction in a few minutes, that's the hardest thing about all this. Is like, we just came off of WrestleMania 2 weeks ago. Who's losing their title?
Yeah.
We have 3 title matches? 4. We have 4 title matches. There's one person I feel there's one person I feel confident losing their title.
Could lose. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was interesting. So yeah, Drew, we get the image of Drew standing there with the U.S. title over Fatu. So that was crazy. But
which
that was
means
pretty dope.
He probably won't win tonight.
Yeah. The shakes. We got the same shake. We get to see Alexa Bliss for the first time in forever.
Since Royal Rumble.
Tagging with Zelina and getting the W over the Secret Hervis still. Chelsea and Piper.
I like this. It's good to see Alexa Black. I hope it's on a more consistent basis. And I will say, the entire time that she was tagging with Zelina, I did not trust Alexa.
Yeah, and mind you, this is what I said previously. It was because, like, oh yeah, she popped up at the Royal Rumble and then we didn't see her again. And I was saying at that point, I was like, we got to get to the other side of Mania for sure, like the Mania fallout before we see her again. So, I'm still not sure of the status of Bo Dallas, but you know, he's out injured, hence why we haven't seen the Wyatt 6. And she's still established enough to stand on her own. So hopefully, I agree with you. We should be able to see her at least a little bit more normally, you know. Fingers crossed. Anyway.
She has also a good character. Like I said, like, I didn't trust her, not from like a real standpoint, like she's unskilled or anything like that, or she might have ring rust. I mean, like from her character's perspective, I'm like, she can easily turn on Zelina and hit the Sister Abigail on her for the championship.
Which I would have loved to see that.
Not for the championship, but like, you know, to take for the championship. And so I'm like, Zelina, are you sure you want to bring Alexa Bliss as your partner? She doesn't
exactly
trustworthy person. That's all I'm just saying. So
no, you're right.
Ended up clean, but I'm like, if I'm Zelina, I'd be cautious as far as like aligning yourself with Alexa Bliss.
Yeah, Tony Storm would call her one spooky bitch for sure.
That's funny.
And then I had to give this a Reggie for me personally. Ray Phoenix getting sucked into the LWO or Legado del Fantasma or Hispanic division on either show. Because we don't see color. Getting sucked into the Hispanic division is ridiculous already, and I'm just like, bro, I don't. It just made me cringe immediately. It's like seeing this extended.
WWE has no idea of like how to do things other than like, and again, like they're also trying to get ready for, you know, Worlds Collide. You know, they have the CMLL, you know, just purchased and stuff. But yeah, it's just like, it sucks when you just like, oh, look, we just got a match full of like, you know, luchadors. And it's like, yeah, because all WWE does is just put black people with black people, put Spanish people with Spanish people, and put Asian people with Asian people. And it's like, and y'all tell us y'all don't see color. Right.
Exactly, right. And I'm trying to think, who's the last... last
Penta
Hispanic
is the
champion.
only person that has like had a legitimate chance
to
just, like, be a wrestler.
Yeah, his charisma carries him like way too far. He's too charismatic. Like he radiates that shit. And thinking it's like what, Alberto Del Rio was probably the last.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of a Hispanic champion, like an all, south of the border champion.
You had Andrade as U.S. champion.
World champion, I said. As world champion. You can give him, you can give minorities, mid-card titles all day. You already know. I'm talking about the world championship. I think it's Alberto Del Rio.
Alberto Del Rio. Unless you want to count like Damian Priest.
Oh, well, yeah. I'm tripping. Well, yeah, of course we count him.
He's Puerto Rican.
He's Puerto Rican, yeah. I mean, sure,
he's
yeah,
different.
I understand what you're saying.
He's not Mexican.
US.
He's
from New York.
U.S.
Yes.
territory, yeah.
Yes, true. Yeah. But, yeah, so that just rubbed me the wrong way. Every single time I see these segments, I'm like, my God. I already know it's going to be a waste. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So
it's quality stuff, but again, you just like, okay, yeah, I get what's happening here. Before we move off from the boutique and get to our Backlash predictions, the champ was here.
Both of us then put that on here.
a bottle was thrown at him. And then a weird ending because like there was some dude in a mask. John Cena ended up F5ing him, and then all of a sudden Randy Orton ends up getting an RKO. And it's like Randy Orton tricked John Cena. I'm like, did he? Like,
but did he know? Oh shit!
I'm just like the fact that we don't have this on the card. It just feels like, what does that say? Neither of this is just me bringing this up. We don't even. This could be, I guess, shake. We don't even have it as shake. This is just the fact that, like, oh yeah, hey, John Cena was here. We haven't seen John Cena.
Yeah, we know what's happening.
Yeah, and he's defending the title tonight. Like, what are we doing? So, how do you feel about that?
At the risk of segueing, it is one of my champions of the week, but we got to get to Backlash predictions first.
Okay.
So
I'll pause.
I will still segue this into our Backlash predictions because how do I feel about it? I feel like John Cena isn't losing his title. I feel like that's not happening because we just came off of WrestleMania. So that's how I feel about it. I mean, I understand. Once again, it's similar to like what I was saying about Rhino coming back in AEW. We're running the hits right now. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is Cena's last go around, so let's get all the guys that we can. He can't get Edge because obviously he's over in AEW. So, but you want to work with those last guys one more time if you can. You know.
Right,
who are you taking in that match? Because I'm taking Cena. Actually, I should have put this in order, or I should have started in order. I mean, I started at the last match. Picking John Cena.
Yeah. 1 second. Wow. My mouse again somehow.
Keep moving. Hey, it's fine. It's fine. Yep.
It somehow ends up on my tablet, and I'm like, why? And now I can't even get it back onto my laptop.
If they're listening to us out there, they really fuck with us because even though these episodes are perfect, the technology never has been. So it's fine. Even our deep cut fans will understand that. What, you had a fire alarm go off? We was potting from outside the building
a couple of weeks ago
for a period of time. You know what I mean? So, hey, we work with what we got here. But at the risk of like dragging you along, I'll go with this first match actually in order that we got here on this Backlash predictions. We got the.
I finally got it. Oop.
I was there, but then I wasn't.
Here.
I don't know. Yeah, you did that.
Technology some weird stuff today, bro. Yeah, I'm ready. I'm ready. We can go. Start with the Fatal 4-Way match for the United States Championship. Jacob Fatu defends his title against LA Knight, Damian Priest, and Drew McIntyre. Who you got?
I got Fatu, but like I said before, just a few minutes ago, the most believable person in winning would be Drew, just from, the weight that he brings effectively. You know what I'm saying? Being a main eventer, the most established main eventer out of everybody here that has yet to be. He also has not been laid out by Jacob. So, do you remember him hitting some jump up, moonsaults on him? Because I don't think he's hit that on him yet.
Nah, I don't. They haven't really. Like I said, I was actually like, I'm like, how did Drew even get into this match? But
That's
fine.
the part that also doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah,
because I'm like, that we have been clamoring for Fatu to get the championship in a different way than we've been clamoring for Jay. I feel like Jay is way more of he's the sympathetic character where we know he would lose the title to Seth on Monday, and we got a dope ass storyline for him to get it back until SummerSlam or whatever the fuck. Like we could still have faith in that, but like Fatu has been nothing but, like his shirt says, all gas, no brakes, and been a destructive force, taking out the biggest people. So with that being said, and that being his character, it shouldn't really fucking matter if we're going with the typical of we're still building Fatu to be up, I booked him as the longest reigning US champion. It's just from Mania to Mania. He just got to hold it for a year. So
it can work.
That's my logic.
Man, he still has Solo. He still has Solo, and Solo needs to pick up his weight. You can't be taking L's and stuff like that. It's crazy. It's crazy how Solo just keeps going down. I'm like, bruh, like, what happened? What happened?
Yeah. Which I think is great with him though, is that like, because he hasn't gone down at all, like as a character. You know what I mean? I think his character work has been even better. Like since it's just like him and Solo having this like not clash, but we see it. Just like Fatu sees it. He's like, nah, you ain't. Getting the shit past me, because we understand that Solo is like waiting for his chance. At least we're pretty sure that's what he's doing. You know what I'm saying?
I hope so. I feel like we haven't heard them speak. You haven't heard Solo speak in a while. I feel like.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I missed the seeing Solo and just like again his peak was when he had pulled up like, look, 2 tickets. One for me, one for you. Like,
yeah, that shit was funny. Like, that's what I'm saying.
The OJ gloves and everything like that. That's peak Solo right there. And so I just hope we eventually get back to that point.
Yeah.
So
I think character-wise, we definitely can with those two for sure. The next one is the most obvious of all of them. Do we need to discuss it?
I was gonna put this on the. I was gonna say Gunther as soon as the match was announced. I was like, oh, we don't even discuss this. I was going to put this answer down 3 weeks ago. Yeah. I hope this match is quick and easy, but it's not. They're going to make Pat look good. You also got to look at like what does Pat have on a schedule that might require him not to be on TV for a few months.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, but like
it ain't football season, so
yeah, maybe he's got like a Pat McAfee show tour going on. I don't know, But just assuming that, like, maybe Pat might have a reason to just be written off TV for, like, at least a month and a half or 2 or something. I don't know. I just hope Gunther just destroys this man and calls it and we just save our time. This is such a waste of time. God damn.
Yeah, we're just going to see what level his resiliency badge is. Like, how close is he to Sami Zayn? That's what we're going to see. That's what I think that match is. Next, Women's Intercontinental Championship. Lyra Valkyria champion versus Becky Lynch. Who you got?
I believe this is also the case. Becky is 1 title away from a Grand Slam. I believe.
I mean, her and Bayley are on that same mission because they both need like the mid-card titles now, basically.
Yeah, so I'm gonna go Becky.
Okay.
I'm going to go Becky. I think this is the only title change we get for tonight. And I think Becky, even if it's just a month and she ends up getting it back at like Money in the Bank, fine. Like, but I think there's something for Lyra to at least hit a rough patch as far as like, not resiliency, but just she's had a pretty steady kind of linear climb that I think there is a bit of like, hey, I'm Becky Lynch, I'm this, that, and the third. Like, you said that you don't need me, but obviously you still can't beat me type of stuff. And so just kind of adding some character depth to her that like, hey, I didn't beat you the first time, but I could beat you the second time or something like that. So I'm going to go title change Becky Lynch.
I am also going title change Becky Lynch for the exact same reasons. And then to add a point onto that, the legitimacy of the belt. You know what I'm saying? Like, similarly, we got the U.S. title, like Zelina winning that, where, she's kind of like Naomi in the sense of like, not just a fan favorite, but we know it's a hard worker. We know she's been grinding all this time, and she doesn't get as much spotlight as she should.
Yeah.
Lyra has been, in my eyes, Lyra has been getting better and better with this struggle. You know what I'm saying? And I agree with the fact that it shouldn't be a long reign, because if you want to talk about establishing like dominance, like we associate that title with Lyra Valkyria. So her to just beat Becky Lynch again, like she said, she's beat Becky already. She beat her in NXT for the NXT Women's Championship. It would just be the same thing on the main roster. You know what I mean? And similarly, I guess slightly off just because it's men's AEW, but like Will Ospreay and MJF, when they had that rivalry for a quick turn last year, and MJF turned the international title into the American Championship, that title reign was only 2 months. You know what I mean? It was short until he got it back, but we knew Will Ospreay was actually the best wrestler in the world already at that point in time, or at least in the middle of his prime. So that's where I feel it's just the same thing. Yeah, Becky's going to do the same thing she did in NXT for her, basically.
Yeah. Intercontinental Championship. Dom Mysterio in his first defense against Penta.
Not a chance he's losing this. Dominic is winning this match.
Yeah, part of me wants to say Penta, but I'm like, there's too many factors. There's Dominic has a gang of people that can help him interfere.
Yep. Point one.
Though Finn Balor could easily cost the man his title.
Sure.
And then my other point would be, does Dom need the title?
Point two of jealousy, yeah, for sure. No, that's a point. Like well, it's already proven he doesn't need it. That title was we wanted that as fans.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? That was a fatal 4-way where there was no way we could lose at that point in time. And I think it was just like going, we know that they call things on the fly. You know what I'm saying? So maybe there was a chance that he wasn't supposed to win that match, and they were just like, yo, he's just too over. Because we were cheering Dom in that match, even though he's a heel, because we're like, it's time. So that, in a sense, like, if we want to pull the trigger on that face turn, then bang, that's how you do that. You know what I'm saying? Like, maybe, like you said, it's not Penta's fault. Penta's only been face since he's been here. But obviously, the jealousy of Finn factoring in with that, like, makes sense.
Yeah.
He did just tell...
the 2-week nature of it makes me lean to Dirty Dom. So I'm going to go Dom, but I would not be surprised if Penta ended up winning this.
Mm-hmm.
I cut you off before.
No, it's fine. I was just going to amplifying the fact that actually I'll get to it because it's also a champion of the week. So
yeah, I'm going Cena as well. So we're officially on pace for a tie on the first week.
Yeah, but don't overthink it, man. You know what I'm saying? Just don't overthink it.
Again, like, they made this. If I was to press anything, I would probably say Penta. If I was to press, but I'm not pressing that. I'm not pressing that.
Yeah, imagine Paul Heyman on Ozempic. He'd be unstoppable. That's crazy. Oh shit! Perfect timing because we're getting into our champions of the week, right? Like I said, I pulled a triple duty on this. Let's go. Let's go with yours first.
Okay, yeah, mine is easy, and I kind of already alluded to it. Mine is the Mike Tomlin during one of his press conferences. I don't know what it was about, but he says he was asked a question, and then all he responded was, "We do not care." And this is the Mike Tomlin "We do not care" title belt to Will Ospreay, Javon Evans, Ricochet, and anybody else that does this little company tribalism crap. We do not care. We do not care. Will Ospreay going on whatever podcast talking about why he doesn't like WWE. I'm sure he's just answering a question, but Will Ospreay doesn't also miss a chance to slight WWE. So, and it's not me trying to protect. I'm just like, bro, like, do y'all just y'all are so petty sometimes? Like, it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Ricochet and Javon Evans were having a back and forth on Twitter about what? I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
But ended up with Javon Evans calling Tony Khan a crackhead.
Yeah, which I think it's funny because I saw that on Wrestle Talk covered that, and I think that was like, I feel like it was not shoot, like they were like, because it starts off very mild, and like the worst thing is like calling Tony a crackhead, which I'm like, in my ballpark, that's super low ball. That's a low ball because I mean, like, we're just making fun of him. We know Tony's not a crackhead. Jesus Christ, like, you know. So it's like,
I don't know. I think Tony he
is a Florida. He is a Florida boy. Like, he a Florida man. So that's
Them
true.
eyes are buggy. He has some buggy ass eyes.
Yeah. Well, we know his daddy raised him right, but we can't help what Florida do to you once you get down there and start cooking your brain. So
But
I fuck with that.
I just don't care for it seems like they want us to pick sides, and I'm like, man, you not catch me in this tribalism. At the end of the day, this is not Republican, this is not Democrat, this ain't Pepsi, this ain't Coke, this ain't none of that, man. Like, I drink both Pepsi and Coke.
Yeah.
I like PlayStation and I like Xbox. I can like AEW and I can like WWE. I don't have to pick. I don't have to pick. And you're not gonna force me to pick. So y'all can keep that tribalism to yourself. So y'all get the Mike Tomlin. We do not care. We do not care award.
Yeah.
All right, go for your 3P.
Here we got a couple of them. We got the first ever Greg Popovich. Excuse me for a second. Please stop booing and let these guys play with the little class. It's not who we are. The fan throwing a beer at John Cena.
Yeah.
It's only 3. Excuse me for a second. I'm so sorry. Stop all the booing. Let these guys play. It's our whole class. It's not who we are. Knock off the booing.
Knock it off. Because granted, Cena is a master, obviously. You see the Michelob Ultra come flying in the frame, and even with like the announcer standing behind him, he just says, "Oh, hold on a second," and holds it up and all that shit. But still, I was just like, bro, let's not try to be so fucking funny, or like I'm so in on the joke that I can start throwing shit into the ring, because it's still a goddamn safety issue where I'm like, you could have hit him in the fucking head or something, you know? Or, I mean, I hate to be a granny about it, but you know what I'm just saying? It's like, that's how
that's
in
facts.
ECW, that's how in ECW you get all the chairs getting thrown into the ring, because he tells one guy to throw it in the ring, and guess what? That was a lawless time in the mid 90s of ECW. So let's stop it.
I hope that dude got thrown out. I hope that dude got thrown out.
It said that he did.
Completely unacceptable. Yeah, that's completely unacceptable. I'll actually double your title belt for that. It's pretty much the same title, same version of the title, just a different person. Sam White. He was the coach for the Cincinnati Bengals during the 80s. I want to say it says December 10th, 1989. This was a game against, I believe, the Cleveland Browns. And he's the coach of the Cincinnati Bengals. And similar things, I think the Cincinnati fans were like throwing stuff on the field because of some like a poorly officiated call. And then he literally grabs the stadium mic and goes like, "Yo, please stop doing that. You don't live in Cleveland." And so like, stop throwing this. You guys are from Cincinnati. You guys have way more class and are respectful. You don't live in Cleveland. And so basically it's the same sentiment. It's just like, yo, come on now. People.
Seriously. We got next up.
Also, shout out to El Jefe in retirement.
Oh, for sure. Shout out to him.
Yeah. He's now El Jefe now. You saw that?
Yeah. That makes sense. I mean, come on. That's got one of the strongest, Latino communities as far as fan bases. You know what I'm saying? I think they're the most synonymous with Latinos for sure. Yeah. I would say.
Shout out to Shay.
Yeah. Next up, we got the kindergarten cop. Stop whining. You kids have no discipline. Title going to Rusev. There you go. And that's going to Rusev for beating the dog shit out of Alpha Academy like he said he was going to, basically. And like Akira Tozawa, you know, I love him, and like that man got a whole lot of heart trying to stand up to Rusev. I don't know what the fuck you thought was gonna happen, but he will redeem them, or whatever his WWE slogan for that will be. He will remold them, or something like that.
Yeah.
And then the last champion of the week. This is the Kleia from Andor. You know, the best Star Wars has ever been, arguably. They had that debate on Midnight Boys, dog. Like, is this just in a vacuum the best Star Wars ever? Like, Andor.
I've seen,
and I'm just like,
headlines.
dog,
I haven't watched any of it, so now that they all finished up, and like we're finished with Andor, right? Like it now.
No,
like that.
No, we got this week. We got another set of episodes this week. Yep.
Okay, but like after this, we're up to episode 9. Done, and then it takes you into for Rogue One, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. After this last 3 episodes, but yeah, we just had 7, 8, 9 this past week, and that's from then. This is from then. Kleia from Andor. What's the matter? You're tired? I'm tired. Everyone's tired. What did you think was going to happen? Title to Dominic Mysterio for complaining about being Intercontinental Champion, and like in a backstage segment being like, man, I got Penta this week. AJ's breaking into here. I didn't know it was going to be this hard. Dog, you're Mysterio. You've been in the race since you were your parentage has been argued over since you were the age of 8. You should know this. You get no excuse. He gets no excuse. Happens.
Like this dude was champion for 24 hours and was like, I'm the best, I'm the greatest United States champion or Intercontinental champion ever. Blah blah blah. I'm like, okay, Dom. Okay.
He is complaining immediately. Like he has held this title for 2 weeks and it is way too heavy for him. He's like, man, I ain't trying to do all this shit. And considering the Intercontinental title is historically the workman's title, and he is already coming off working the most in his career, dog. Get your shit together, Dom. You're a champion. Act like it. He don't want to be champion.
Oh, that's funny.
And that's champions of the week right there.
I want to call out one thing with the Kindergarten Cop. I love Kindergarten Cop as a movie. Such a great, funny movie. 2 belts that I wish we could find a way. I don't know what's going to make it happen, but we definitely need to have the Kindergarten Cop. Who is your daddy and what does he do? Title belt. I don't know what moment would ever get us that title belt, but I wish that there's a moment that will get us that title belt. And the other thing that I love about Kindergarten Cop is that little boy that they ended up getting kidnapping and whatnot.
Yeah.
You know that part in the movie where he like climbs up like the little like tower.
Yeah.
He falls and like loses his balance. That scene cracks me up every time because that kid, when he starts yelling help, he sounds like a grown-ass man. He's like, help! Help! I'm like, yo, this 8-year-old kid is like, with a strong-ass country accent, just like, help! Help!
Yeah, it's definitely, I feel comfortable saying it's definitely time for a Kindergarten Cop rewatch. It's been a while. I'm sure it's been some years for you, too, since you watched Kindergarten Cop. I ain't watching it forever, but...
If it's on TV, I will leave Kindergarten Cop on. Kindergarten Cop's a funny movie. It's a good movie. I enjoy it. But I think we are done for the week. We had pretty much a regularly scheduled program, 2 hours and 17 minutes.
Mm-hmm. But we got to chew on stuff. That's fine. We're professionals. Like we know the nuances and the cracks of wrestling, and not the wrestling industry, but wrestling storytelling. We know this as fans, so it's like, hey, bear with us. That's what you listen to us for. This is the House of R of WWE content or wrestling content, I should say. The deep dive.
But we've done a good job of going through a week of football, a week of wrestling with predictions. And we already pretty much can call it right now. We got a tie coming up on the way as far as the record. But hey, that's the least I can ask for to start this. Yeah.
I'm not going to
season 2 of pop-ups. I'm not overthinking week 1. So we'll take
That's a marathon.
Anything you wanted to leave us off with, Moody, before we head out?
Yep, just the usual. Just tell the people to follow us here on this YouTube channel. Follow us on our socials. Everything at the Wrestling Re-Up, no hyphen. That's TikTok, Instagram, and you can send us a email at wrestlingreup@gmail.com. And follow us anywhere you get your podcast, Spotify, Apple, follow us.
Yeah, shout out. And shout out to Monticello. I just saw the comment on here. Imagine Paul Heyman on Ozempic, unstoppable. That's hilarious. I don't know how that got brought up, but okay. I like it.
Hold on. One last champion of the week. You are getting the Chris Tucker and Pootie Tang. I hate you. I hate you. A title, because I said that before we started. We're like live in the moment. So you just
I know I heard you say it, but I was like, I heard you say it, but I was like, well, I didn't know where it came from, and then now I just saw we had a comment. So my bad. But I'll take the title. I'll take the title. That's fine.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's it for episode 44 of the Wrestling Re-Up, and we'll be back next week. Until then, next time, peace, y'all.
Peace. Michael Jordan 2.0 episode 45.
I like it.